Get up and get out. Get out. Get out. I have a question for you. Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out. Christ is Lord.
Hello and welcome in to another episode of Offensively Accurate, hosted by yours truly, Atlas Thugged, aka White Boy D-Voice, aka another racially ambiguous groiper. And I'm here to tell you that Jesus loves you and Christ is King, unfortunately alongside some pretty other terrible things. And today, we have a good episode for you today. It is a two-time episode, or a two-part episode, I should say, two-part guest, and going to be spicy, if you will. The majority of the collabs so far have been pretty friendly, if you will, between Basil and Mainstream and Groiper Greg and Beardson. Today, we're probably breaking that streak. We're going to probably have a bit of back and forth here, revolving all around Nicholas J. Fuentes and America First, Charlie Kirk, Andrew Wilson, TPUSA, and a few other topics in between all of those. So without boring you with the long intro, no introductions needed, and we're already on Zeb Boykin time. Here are both Zeb Boykin and the Daily Riot. Welcome in, guys. Who are you and what do you do? I guess starting with Zeb Boykin.
Oh, who am I? I am American, but I'm also the biggest groiper. I'm Nick's greatest fan, obviously. Nick, I'm a Nicker, if you want to me to tell you the truth. So who am I? I'm just some dude that says things at a camera angrily most of the time.
Perfect. And Daily Riot. Who are you?
Just make content on what's going on. I mean, I used to watch Nick Fuentes for a while until he started changing his tune a little bit, you know, defending Israel, the Jews.
See, this is where the disagreement is, right? And I knew it was going to be a little bit of I wouldn't even say hostile, but I knew it'd be confrontational, argumentative, maybe, perhaps in that element. Obviously, I am a groiper. I am full send, obviously, with Nick Fuentes and America First. I have been heavily disagreeing with Zeb on a lot of these instances, basically since Charlie Kirk. I think it's probably the last time me and Zeb agreed on the general direction of politics was before Charlie Kirk was unfortunately taken from us. But since then, we've kind of had some nuanced conversation between all these different things. So with that being said, since I'm feeling I'm going to be on the, I guess I'm going to be on the defense here, I'll throw it back to you guys in relevance to whatever you want to start with, whether it's Charlie Kirk or just Nick Fuentes in general, with what you guys say you think is his changing of positions. So I'll turn it back to both of you, whatever you guys would like to go with first. That's where we can start.
Why didn't he get arrested?
This is where we're going.
I'm jumping in, bro.
So we're doing the
oh boy.
We're doing the
what's it right in from the beginning. Yeah.
I mean, well, I guess my response is like, I think that he's already shown the transcripts, the receipts. I think obviously he was shut down for quite a bit after that, taken off of a lot of different platforms. Well, that was also happening before and after too. But you got the transcripts already from the I believe it was the FBI agent, or was it his lawyer? They gave a verbatim answer to the question, which was he had not been in contact with any federal agents before then, and that came out. Was it last year? He posted that.
I don't think that was the question.
Yeah. So here's the thing: this guy was leading the insurrection, as they say it is, but there was people who looked in the direction of what was going on there, and they were arrested and charged. They were just looking in that direction. This guy had a loud horn leading the whole thing on. Why did he walk away scot-free from that situation?
Well, the first thing you said was just wrong, though. Like, leading
What
from
do
the
you mean?
front. He was nowhere near the front. He was actually.
He had a loud horn.
He had a loud.
was
A lot of people had a
inciting.
loud horn. He
was
wasn't even
inciting.
on Capitol grounds where he was located. He was in a much different location, right? And so now I'm having to go back. I didn't even think we were going to do the January 6th stuff. So there was what? There's three locations around where people were allowed to protest.
That, by the way, is because that was the first time I was like, wait a minute, something's weird here. That's the first thing that set off my red flags, and I started looking at it critically.
So did you? Okay, so let me ask you this. So did you stop listening to Nick Fuentes in 2021, or was it in 2025?
No, I stayed. I saw a lot of stuff that was weird. I stayed all the way up until he started glazing Epstein, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
So that was it. So it wasn't.
Dang,
so it
you
wasn't the
pulled a full
January
8
6th
seconds over there, didn't you, dude?
Yeah.
You held on a long time.
I did, because I was just like, I wanted him to be.
Mm.
I wanted him to be legit. I did, and I stuck with it until I was like, I can't anymore, bro.
So you were.
I got a bottle of hopium. It's still full.
Yeah. I was
Haven't drank any of
smoking
it yet.
hopium.
Smoking it.
Yeah.
The thing I would say back to that was to be like, well, that just makes me think like you didn't really think much of the federal accusations then. They've existed since then. It's been pushed for 6 years now, 5 years now.
No, I did, but I was committed, and I was just like, I want him to be right, because he was going hard. He was going harder than most people that I saw out there.
Yeah.
He just wasn't making it into the mainstream.
It's still true to this day. He is going harder than most people.
Yeah, but
that's
he's
actually
not
a true
making it
thing.
into the mainstream. Like people like Dan Bilzerian, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, these are the ones changing minds of like the regular normies out there. And the weird thing is he's attacking them. So that actually is another thing that gets me like, why is he doing that? What is his goal in attacking those people?
So you talking specifically about Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens? Did you reference someone else? I might have missed.
All of the main, Dan Bilzerian, he's attacked them all, really.
Dan Bilzerian is an idiot.
Like all of
Dan
them.
Bilzerian is an idiot. Let's start right there.
Mean anything? I don't know what that means.
Well, it means that he does not possess any ounce of political acumen to be relevant in any
It's
way,
fine,
shape,
bro.
or form.
Most of these people don't.
So then
like,
why would it matter if he's attacking them then if they don't have
because
any
he's
political
waking.
acumen?
Okay, the point is he's actually, moving the needle in the right direction with what he's saying, because he's got a lot more followers than Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, all these people combined. So he's actually moving the needle, because more people see him than see Nick Fuentes. So why would he try to throw a wrench in the works there?
because he has more followers, because he built it off the back of being a degenerate.
It's fine.
Pushing stuff on Instagram.
I understand, bro.
Hold on. I let you speak.
There's a goal, right?
I let you speak. He got his following majoritively off of the back of a bunch of gambling, the IG push, a bunch of having the women, all of the kind of the lifestyle Instagram kind of thing, the push. He's also a trust fund kid. But the reason he's getting attacked too is also because
and Jewish. He's Jewish too.
And Jewish too. Yes, definitely.
He's Jewish.
So.
Was it 12%?
I don't believe that.
Is it 12%?
I don't believe that.
He
First of all, you're gonna have to
Jewish.
define what that even means before you even like that doesn't even make any sense. Is there a DNA test that tells you he's Jewish?
Yeah, he published. He admitted to it in an article back in like 2022 or something.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, no, I mean, Atlas isn't wrong here, and I mean, I don't think Daily Riot's wrong either. I mean, I think both of you have completely valid arguments. So my question is, why do we have to decide between these two?
Yeah, exactly. Like, see, here's my side of this thing. Nick Fuentes, even though I'm suspect, I may be suspect of Nick Fuentes, but even he is still to some degree moving the needle in that right direction.
I would disagree. I think he is a subversive. I think Zeb would agree with this, actually, that he is literally a subversive. He's taking all of the opportunities. For one, announced a campaign that he has put $0, zero contributions. The primary or the election for it's in August. That's a big joke. He basically gave Randy Fine a golden pass to go ahead and win his election. And second to that, what is he arguing for? He's arguing all about like how white supremacy is bad, and you have the black supremacy, and you have Dan Bilzerian has no political acuity. And if anything, the reason why he had any relevance at all was because he was one of these people who you wouldn't expect to be joining the crowd, if you will. Also, naming the Jew. But beyond there, he's done what? All he's done is actually just attack Nick.
I'm not necessarily opposed to the Bolzerian run. Obviously, it's a losing position, but you could say the same thing about Casey. And so this idea that we can't run people because they're going to lose is just delusional. I mean, this praise of Hitler and National Socialism in Germany. I mean, they ran multiple elections knowing they were going to lose prior to actually winning. You can say the same thing about like the whole concept with Restore Britain right now. I mean, they've run losing elections intentionally for a long time. Just because you're going to lose doesn't mean you don't try. And this is a big issue I have with Nick is his entire premise for a lot of this is why waste money on things when you know you're going to lose. But it falls flat when you look at history, and you need to at least try to do the thing to even move the needle. And then he goes on and shits on Buchanan a lot too. And it's like Buchanan laid the groundwork for all of this. Is Buchanan a loser? Sure, we can say that, but definitionally if he wins, if the nationalism wins, if it gains enough ground and it wins, is Buchanan a loser? The answer is obviously no. Along with, you can go all the way back to Rockwell or whoever you want to, but this idea,
every little bit of it helps, is your point, and I agree with that.
But the point being, though, on two ends, you would look at Pat Buchanan not winning the presidency, not actually holding power. I mean, that's what we consider to be winning, right? Like that's the W is winning. Looking at him as a historical kind of element of building off the back of is entirely a different. That's two different things. Like the same way can be said of like GLR. You could go down the line of some of these different people.
I disagree with the entire premise of winning and losing in this narrow window. It's like, okay, did we win World War II? Obviously, we're getting fucked over right now. So did we? And so this concept of like a direct dichotomy of winning and losing in this concept this is a problem that just America in general has, and maybe it's just an English concept or a European concept. It's like winning isn't this finite time frame. Winning isn't this, oh, we got 4 years, we're gonna win the presidency. Oh shit, we won. Now what the fuck do we do? Repeat. It's like, okay, this is a very, very long game. Let's stop casting losses. You're a loser on people that have literally laid the foundation for you to come out and name the Jew. And then claim that you're the one that really noticed, not literally 2,000 years of history.
Yeah,
I don't think that Nick would say he's like invented noticing. I saw one of the notes that one of you guys put.
I did that. I put that.
Yeah,
on
like that to me was just like he's never said that. Like he wouldn't claim to be the one that used the first two.
Act like he's the one who brought this idea of noticing to the masses. Like, come on, bro. I was like back in after 9/11, I started realizing this stuff. You know what I mean?
But let me go back to your point though, Zeb, because I want to hone in on the winning and losing thing.
Okay, go ahead.
It's because what we're doing is we're addressing Pat Buchanan as the whole, but that's not the context and in the window of addressing Dan Bilzerian and Casey Putsch, because we're talking about them winning their specific races, right? Looking at Dan Bilzerian specifically, Dan Bilzerian, for one, he's not even trying, and second to that, it's in a district where the constituency and the demographic makeup, the two biggest groups in there is Jews and then evangelical Zionists. It was like
I don't disagree.
And then the same thing going to Casey, right? Casey, not in the same vein of the constituency, but Casey in the vein that he didn't actually run a good campaign, in the sense that there was not enough money that was being put into it. He didn't do enough events. So what I would say beyond there is Nick not supporting these guys. Think about how often he was being at arm's length from Casey Putsch. He was trying to avoid it, but Casey kept essentially begging for the endorsement. But Nick was unwilling to put his W on that or his name on that, because if it does turn out to be a loss, it does reflect upon the America First movement. And so much of what Nick has been since the big war, the optics war in 2017, has been about optics. That's the point I was bringing up about GLR. Like, he laid framework, and I think he's one of the most passionate speakers. I like listening to his speeches. But the problem is that I can go on YouTube right now and find a 9-minute video talking shit about GLR where the guy says he wishes he had the chance to kill him. That's the problem, because GLR, he lost the optics war. Having the Nazi swastika armband and sitting there with a pouty face, that's what the Democrats use. He became ammunition to be used against us. That's the true loss in there. The same way that Pat Buchanan fell out of good graces, but it took how many years before we could even enter back into the conversation? I would argue that what he did and the losses actually gave ammunition for us to have losing ground. That's in the context that I would say that.
Okay, let's say we have good optics. What does that look like in a campaign? Does that look like, I don't know, maybe JD Vance? Does that look like Donald Trump? See, this is the problem is when you're going to compromise on optics, you're compromising on position entirely. And so we're going to get exactly what we're going to get. We're going to get a Vivek in Ohio and a Vance in the White House.
I disagree.
Like, this is
well,
like
look
this
at
is the
Fishback.
consequence of ceding the entire rhetorical position.
This is how you end up moving closer and closer to the left. This is how it's happened over the years because the right's like, well, maybe we're too extreme. Let's just pull back and compromise. We'll slowly work it in there. But eventually what ends up happening is the needle just keeps moving left. And the same thing's going to happen here.
Well, I would disagree. I think the Overton window in the broad is actually moving further and further to the right. I mean,
just recently, though, after decades, just recently.
This has been a kind of a slow walk since 2020. COVID kind of soft launched this because that's when what do they call it? Politics became pop culture. Most people started getting tuned in. It had broken this kind of long running concept that most people didn't pay attention to politics. Now a lot of people are involved in politics. I guess the broader point here is like, yeah, the optics heavily matter. And I heard this bit from Asmongold too, from earlier, and it's wild that he even had this comment. But this idea that you can outfront the moment you start running the race, you are leading from the front with your most extreme positions, and then that is going to be, for one, politically expedient, or two, politically palatable for a constituency who's not all going to agree with you. It is setting you up to lose. It's like we refuse to learn the lessons of Pat Buchanan's loss, of GLR's loss. We look at these people with reverence, but we don't take into account the fact that they lost. GLR got killed. You
We're
can't
not winning a democracy. I don't see how y'all don't understand that. You're not winning a vote. Like, it's not happening. We can't get deportations.
Yeah.
Now we can't get birthright. And so what are you left with? You're left with an invasion of 100, 200 million people voting on the ballot in a democratic state that we live in to make laws, to push people into the seat. I mean, take Donald Trump and his own SCOTUS voting against us. Like, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get women in power, and you're going to get these wish-washy conservatives into positions of power that say what the people that vote for them want them to say, which is JD Vance and Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And then when they get in power, it's all gone. And so your win from a political, I guess this is the core of the argument. Is
it's
there a political
TPUSA conservatives, basically.
Yeah, is it a political position to win? And the answer is obviously no. And so the optics that you're vying for are not going to get you elected. On top of, then you're not moving the needle with which you ought to move the needle. Meaning the Overton window is going to close on you as you continue to move left, because you're necessarily going to have to, given the premise of your argument of optics.
So this is why it's never Vance, never Rubio, because the current
Just
conservative.
Vivek, though.
What's that?
Just Vivek, though.
Well, what's the options? You have Vivek and Amy Acton. And the concept there would be
you didn't even try to get Casey Push, and
Casey Push didn't even try. I find that argument
a good campaign. But
that argument's bullshit. He didn't. You just acknowledged he didn't run a good campaign.
Sure, he didn't run a good campaign.
The onus is not on the Groypers for not going and joining and supporting Casey Push. The onus is on Casey Push knowingly and willingly not putting his best foot forward, knowing he didn't have the money to run. And even on top of that, when he's doing these videos, you compare the 45-second clips from Fishback to the 10-minute diatribes from Casey Push. Which do you think people are actually paying attention to, listening to, and like vibing with?
I think Fishback is a complete plant too, but that's beyond the point. The point is that we talk about A-Log and Nick all the time. I mean, Nick's A-logging people that are actually running a campaign. I mean, Casey Push didn't have the money and the campaign acumen or whatever he needed in that aspect, because he's still living a normal life. This is a normal dude, which gets shit on all the time by someone named Fuentes.
So that's what I've noticed is that anyone out there trying to do something, there pops up Nick to criticize them right away. I mean, it just, he never allows anyone else to have some say in what's going on. From
Do
what I've
something,
seen.
but okay, define do something.
What do you mean?
Just
You
give me
mean,
an
what is
example.
he
If there's all
doing?
these people
He's
doing
he
something, you should be able to give me
criticizes
one.
everybody who steps out, who is America first, anti-Israel. He's the first person. He'll make a video right away, and then he'll pull up some nonsense about them and say, "Well, this guy used to be a degenerate." What the fuck does that matter, bro? The guy.
Can you
is
give
out
me an
here-
example though? Like just give me an example.
Okay, let's go to Dan Bilzerian.
And he's an idiot. he's
Okay,
he's an
exactly my
idiot. He's
point.
not
Exactly my point. What does it matter, bro? They're all idiots. They're all idiots. But
Okay.
we need somebody that's actually like leading the charge in this direction. He stops everybody. He gets up and tries to stop these people from or spread or create like a bad impression of them, you know, bad sentiment out there about
because
these people.
Dan
Why?
Bilzerian is not America first. He is not
he
the
is.
essence of America first.
Yeah,
No, he is not.
No.
He is not
No,
a
no,
Christian.
see,
He is not a no.
Nick
You
Fuentes,
don't. People
Nick
don't get to
Fuentes
come
has
into the
America
movement simply
first
because
as
they're.
a trademark.
Time out. I'm gonna moderate real here. Right quick.
Okay.
Can we define America first?
Exactly.
It is a pro-white,
It's definitely not what Nick
pro-Christ.
Fuentes. Okay, go ahead.
So the guy who's literally brought the name to its power is not the person who's running the movement.
Yes.
That is the most retarded shit I've ever heard in my
name,
life.
That's how you can't just trademark a concept. America First isn't.
He did,
a
and it's his
company
show.
or
I
a
mean,
trademark.
okay, this is insane. His name is his show is
It's an
literally America
idea.
First. Like
It's
it
an
is
idea, bro.
trademarked.
America First
It's
just
an
means
idea.
you represent America first. Like you don't want any other countries involved. This is a simple idea that anyone can get behind,
It's
and
not.
has existed for as long
I do
as
think
these
that's.
countries
I
exist.
do think that's too broad of a
Yeah.
definition.
It is specifically the first thing, pro-Christ, right? First thing, it is pro-Christ, pro-white, nationalist, American movement. It is for the interest of our people. The entire direction of the movement is to get things to be in the best interest
is our
of
people?
America. It would be Americans.
Yeah.
It would be white people primarily, the predominant kind of heritage buildup of what this country is.
I don't know if you would. I mean, that just narrows it down to a very tiny sliver of like even the name America First. You just created like your own little definition of what it is. I think the name or the words themselves, America First, you stand for America First. I think you've created like a sub culture or sub pocket of what it means.
Well, I guess I would
Maybe
ask
that's what
you.
it
I would
means
ask
to
you,
Nick
Daily-
Fuentes.
I would ask you. I mean, where do you stand on the birthright ruling yesterday? Is kind of a question that.
Well,
kinda
you should hear
dives
what
into
Daily
this.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
we
Daily
were
Right.
talking
Let us
about
know how you
that.
feel about birthright.
We talked
citizens.
about that last night, actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not okay with that. With what
Yeah.
happened,
Yeah, right. So we can all agree to be against
we
anchor
don't, we don't want
babies.
anchor
But now
babies.
they're American, and you saying that America First is
Correct.
taking care of them also.
So because the process is messed up doesn't mean that the concept is bad. So if you didn't have anchor babies and that was removed, what about all the other Americans that are here? Or what about naturalized Americans that get naturalized and become American, which we all are, by the way. I mean, at some point we all became naturalized in this country. Did we not?
Nah, I was born American.
No.
No.
Yeah.
What if you go
I was
far back?
conceived American.
Okay, we are.
Yeah,
hold
but
on,
if
hold
you
on.
go
Like we're
far
literally
back enough-
jumping around all over the place, and I'm
We
trying
are.
to actually make sense of what's even going on here. Like to be pro America first. So here's the thing too: is it's like there is a recognition in the fact of obviously like because we're being way too broad here. The fact that the Supreme Court ruled yesterday or 2 days ago when it came down that there was that now that birthright citizenship or the status quo is going to be recognized, even though the amendment is quite literally being explicitly violated by when it was reformed back in 1866 by I think his name was Hagen, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. They're quite literally just like pretending that doesn't exist. The position is also we're not okay. The deportation thing is just that's not happening. It's not happening in 2028. It's not happening in 2032.
Yeah.
It's out there. Okay, maybe a chance it
Somebody
happens in
wanna clip that.
2032. Yeah, hopefully there's a chance. Well, again, but here's the purpose.
But the problem with that ruling had to do with the anchor baby thing, right? Not that we're opposed to the idea of like people becoming naturalized through the correct process of becoming an American.
No, the problem with that ruling is there's women sitting on the court.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's the problem with everything.
Agreed.
But that,
Well, that's what I was going to say back to you. You said the whole.
Let's go ahead, finish.
I guess my broader point is I don't understand when it's like we're a pro-white movement. That doesn't being pro-white does not automatically come with the tag of like, well, to be pro-white you have to have the deportations. I don't understand that. It's like, of course we would want the mass deportations. We literally voted in a guy who ran with rallies that said mass deportations. The problem is the mass deportations aren't fucking happening because the average person in this country is just a basic retarded, just walks along and just takes as does what they're told.
Deport them.
We would love to. I would love to deport these people. But the point being is like you're talking about America First being this weird like subculture. It's like I don't even understand what that point is.
no,
That's always been what America First has been.
The way you defined it, I think you narrowed it down way too much for the idea. I mean, maybe America First trademark Nick Fuentes is what that means.
I think that's what most groypers argue, though, is that America First is a Fuentestic movement.
So you don't
Right.
believe that there's a concept of America First without Nick Fuentes?
Listen, I'm a Sebastian Gorka America Firster, obviously, for obvious reasons.
So America First existed before him. As a matter of fact, MAGA was supposed to be the same thing. Was supposed to be America First, right?
It was supposed to be. It's in the name. Make America Great Again, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
but
where the
that's-
credo comes from. America
where-
First. America First. Everybody
So the
remembers the credo. If you've
idea
watched the
exists.
show,
can
you
call
know
it
where
a-
it
you
comes
can call
from.
You can call it a ham sandwich, but the idea is the same.
It's well.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
not, though.
here we are. This is the sticking point. I mean, who defines it, and how does it get defined? And one side says essentially Nick gets to define it, and then everybody else says it's a free game essentially. This is the I guess you can go from Amy Dangerfield to Verillium to has Dan Bilzerian claimed it, Tucker Carlson, whoever else, all the way down the line. It's like, who gets to define this thing? And we're arguing over. We're arguing over essentially the future of America is kind of the question here, and how do we get there? Along with the core question, which is who falls under this banner of America?
So let me ask you
And-
this: if you can expand the definition
I think
out a
you're all
little bit
moderates.
more, if you can expand the definition out a little bit more
I
on
wouldn't.
America First,
It's already
where would
too broad.
Where would it go?
But there's the thing. I already think it's too broad, but it's too broad in a way that I can't affect change, right? In the sense that there's a pragmatic and practical element to this, which is, of course, if I could snap my fucking fingers, I would disappear every single illegal immigrant and illegal immigrants for the most part out of this country. I think Black Americans that's another side story than something to be revisited. The issue being though is it's like it sucks because it's like it feels like I'm the only one engaging in pragmatic and practical reality, which is as much as I want these people to go, there's nothing I can do besides beg the government to do it or go grab a rifle and do it myself until I go to jail. So it's like that's the pragmatic element of this.
How do you make it? You don't you want it to be more of a populist thing,
no,
where you can actually make some traction? If
Because-
you keep limiting it, you narrow down the base and the amount of, let's say voters, if you believe that makes a difference.
I wouldn't do populist because populism is where William's taking it, and I think that's retarded. It's now because to go populist, you have to remove what? The first thing that goes is the pro-white identity.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you don't want to get rid of that. That's like the core the core of it. But like there's white people that weren't necessarily born in this country that have been naturalized, for example.
Well,
Would
that's
you
the way the
exclude those
system was
people?
intended. It was for Europeans.
Right. So they would be considered American.
Yeah. If you were like a second generation imported from a European nation, a predominantly white European nation, it would be like, yeah, it's much easier to digest down than someone who's a
Yeah.
first generation Haitian, a first generation Somalian, a first generation, Syrian. You could go all across the board. Zeb's eating food. That's crazy.
So this is why I think it's more of a cultural thing than anything else. I think there is
Like
a white
culture is the
culture.
expression of race, though.
I think it can be seen that way, but it can also be culture can change people's behavior, even though if you're another race. For example, take a Japanese baby and bring him here to the U.S. and raise him in an American family. Do you think he's going to be, trying to become a kamikaze pilot or whatever? He's going to act just as white as all of us. You know what I mean?
Is Jared Taylor Japanese?
I don't know.
Nope.
I don't know who that is.
Jared Taylor doesn't act Japanese. He's not Japanese. He was born and raised in Japan. He's a white dude that is.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, who's like a
so
white
it's like,
nationalist.
so the claim is, or my claim is that assimilation isn't real. It takes generations, even if we import Europeans. Europeans coming to America naturalized or birthright or you name it, still isn't American. American is a boils down to quite literally genetics at this point. And then, I mean, if you want to become an American, you're going to give me a couple generations. That being said,
that's fair.
let me throw my hat in the ring on the America First position.
Yeah.
And I think it's purely, somebody said something about Buchanan in chat. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Because Buchanan, Uncle Halsey, he said, Buchanan said the three pillars were nationalism, social conservatism, and economic populism when he said America First. And I think it's pretty close. Pretty close. I mean, those are like the three things you want to look at. I would argue, what do you mean by conservative? And I would argue, the economic position needs to be almost isolationist at this point. And so, I mean, if we can get behind that as a general, I think we can maybe take a step forward together. Obviously, we're still going to be at odds on some of these questions, but I mean, this is a numbers game, whether we want to fight it from a numbers position or not. Meaning it's a numbers game and we get to vote the president in. That is this Natsock German dude that just got here. But it's a numbers game in that, we are a diminishing minority continually, just by the very nature of them, of non-Americans existing in America and having children.
Well, we already have,
not even including the importation of them. And so, I mean, is that something that we can get behind? Social conservative. I mean, I would want to label it Christian, but I will be more lenient than I want to on that.
But
how hard would you go on that position?
Well, that's I mean, like with the pragmatic element of it, which you nailed it on the head. Like the whites are already, I mean, it's either 9 or 10 states now are no longer white majority states. I think Georgia was the last one that's no longer a white majority state. Like the writing's already on the wall, like on this, which again goes back to some of the stuff I'm saying about Dan and Casey, which is this then implores and becomes imperative that you have a platform that is politically expedient. This goes to the same concept of when Nick talked about the immigration issue being dead, which is like we're going to have to now we're going to have to reprioritize what our top issues are in order to actually affect the most change to pull America in the best direction with the tools and pieces we already have on the board right now. But that also comes with the concept of, like, again, a lot of this is going to be like long term too. Majority of this you can't do in the short term. Mass deportation would be lovely. I mean, we just got the ruling on the TPS, the temporary protected status, and that in and of itself should have made hundreds of thousands of people immediately ready to deport. Where are the deportations? And it goes back to this, like this back and forth, this tether of the fact that the governing power right now, sitting in the Trump administration, is literally ran and owned by Jewish power, specifically, especially the fifth column of Jews in this country, and backed in with like Adelsons and everybody else. So that implies then that it can't be a populist movement, right? Because look what you had with MAGA. You break it open so wide, you make all these compromises, and then it becomes rife for what exactly just happened, which it ultimately gets taken over. And because it's populist, it maintains this kind of just widespread like energy of like exactly what I disagree with a lot of what your takes are of like, it's like being Israel critical is like, that's enough. Like, no, that's not enough. Like, I need you to say that women shouldn't be able to vote. I need you to say that women need to go back in the kitchen. I need you to say that Jews shouldn't hold power in this country. I need you to say all the boxes need to be checked. That's why we need to be moving away from populism.
Okay.
Because populism is a too broad of approach.
So I think a lot of these are symptoms. And the core of the issue is what? Who's calling all the shots out here? The feminist movement, all that stuff. Who's behind it?
Yeah, right, Jews.
So open borders. I mean, we're looking at like, hey, let's deport these people. But what does it matter if like Trump expands H-1B and H-2B and then like brings in, 600,000 Chinese? Like, this is just a bunch of bullshit that we're trying to go after these symptoms. But the core issue with these open borders and bringing all these people in, pushing this feminist ideology, feminizing men, all of this comes from one place. So I do think we need to concentrate more in that area because we're basically chasing our tail going after all these other things that don't actually make a difference.
As in, like, what other things, I guess, would you be saying that don't make a difference?
Like deportations. Like,
okay.
that's cool if that happens.
No.
At the end of the day, let's say you did
must
deport
happen.
all these people.
It's like that's the first thing we are doing if we get power.
Yeah,
is sending these people back. Like,
but even if
it's a top priority.
Even if you do that, but they can still bring them in with loopholes and other avenues. What did you actually do? They're still coming in. They're still coming in. They're still taking jobs here. I mean, Trump went ahead and said, we got to bring in 600,000 Chinese. And then when he was on Fox and they asked him, why can't Americans do those jobs? And he said, well, they're not talented enough. That just came out of Trump's mouth.
Right. Well, Trump said a lot of
he was
really dumb
make
stuff.
Sure Americans had jobs, basically said, hey, I'm going to give your jobs to Chinese people.
Right. But I don't look at Trump as any kind of signal anymore.
Fight.
Good.
I mean, you say it as if like we can't fight this war on multiple fronts. Like there's like the Jewish question is the only thing that can be energy put towards, and I think you're just wrong there.
I'm not saying that's the only thing, but I'm saying people who are pushing the needle in that direction shouldn't be disparaged by Nick Fuentes and be called this, low IQ anti-Semitism. Like they're doing their thing. Why can't, you're absolutely right. Why can't we make a push on all these fronts at the same time?
Well, because the low IQ anti-Semitism stuff does blow back. Like when the left looks at Dan Bilzerian, they don't see a difference between Dan. Like for the most part, they don't see Dan and Nick as being like on two different plantations. They see them as being a part of the same group. The same thing would apply with Casey Putsch. Hassan Piker and people on the left would view them as being a part of the same camp, despite what we may argue here of them having these major differences.
Hassan Piker's been more extreme than all of them put together.
That is retarded.
They like him.
That is retarded. Hassan is just insane. Like Hassan's just a crazy nepo baby. Yeah, right. But that's what I'm saying. Like he's just like an insane person. You know what I mean? Like he's a nepo baby who says a bunch of ridiculous dumb stuff. Yeah, and yeah, he shocks his own dog.
But you're saying he's different from Dan.
I've shocked my dog before, so I don't really have anyone. I don't shock him because he didn't stay where he was supposed to for 12 hours in a row.
Yeah.
But I guess my question is, I mean, you make the point that the left or however you want to see it groups Nick, which is trying to find good optics now, in with Dan Bilzerian and Casey and whoever else that you want to name. And it's like, that's going to happen regardless. And so this A-logging against some hypothetical view of optics being good is just it's a no-go. Like it's a waste of energy to police yourself to the point where I don't even know what it is. I mean, it's a hydropower level type position into infinity, and there's no getting out of the thing.
But I just disagree with the framing though, because it was Nick went out of his way to keep Casey at arm's length. Like it was over and over and over again that he was not commenting. The only time he would,
it doesn't matter.
I don't understand how it doesn't matter. The argument coming from at least Daily Riot is that he is constantly A-logging. He's constantly attacking them. But that's not the framing. The framing should be that Casey got on his hands and knees and was begging teenagers to go reach out to Nick Fuentes because he wanted the endorsement so bad. And when Nick finally got tired of being, spam messaged by this guy, he laid his foot down on the reason why he wanted to be involved.
I don't know how true some of that stuff is. Very, very Reddit tier writing.
Still, regardless,
But
though,
when
that's
you
the
talk
framing
about
that I.
these optics, by the way, like you want good optics for who? Who are you trying to cater your optics to exactly?
The again, it goes back to because
The
America
left.
First is trying to be. So is the assumption here that when we go vote in our elections, it's only Republicans that go and vote? If that was the case, why do we not win 100% of elections?
Okay, so you're catering to the left.
Politics is catering to the constituents who occupy the seats in the homes and the property in the area and region you are trying to win. If you are
Okay,
cannot,
so wouldn't that make
you
it a
can't
populist
operate
thing at
irrespective
that
of
point?
that. You just can't. I mean, that is a hard line. If you want to be like Dan Bilzerian, go ahead, have $0 come into your election and go become a absolute lolcow all over the internet. The
I mean,
optics.
I'm
wasn't
not
that
saying
the-
Dan Bilzerian's going to win. This isn't even about Dan Bilzerian. It's more about Nick Fuentes attacking all of these people who are trying to do something. Whether they succeed or fail is irrelevant. What's up with Nick constantly attacking all of these people who seemingly hold similar positions?
But this is why
as
you
he
keep
does.
doing it. You have said now like 5 times. He constantly keeps
Yep.
attacking these people. Okay,
Mhm.
I just brought up with Casey that he didn't. He kept Casey at arm's length. And guess what? For Fishback, someone who he was pro for, he also kept him at arm's length until Fishback's campaign was like well along the way. It was a locomotion. It was on the train tracks. He's been doing this both on the negative and on the pro side because no matter what he
Fishback's
does,
your Jew?
are you going to interrupt me one more time?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to keep up with you.
But the point being here is because either way, in the pro or in the negative, that will be seen as an endorsement one way or the other, and that will ultimately reflect upon him. Nick Fuentes is also thinking long term. He's thinking of how to maintain, and maybe some people would maybe disagree with how cautious he's being, but trying to almost jealously, overzealously guard the movement and keep it as serious as it possibly can. And Dan Bilzerian is an absolute no-go. You can't have Dan Bilzerian at all. There's no endorsement for that guy. He is the definition of low IQ anti-Semitism. We're talking about someone who's supposedly bringing people into a room, making their phones in Faraday cages so they can ask if they know how they can kill Ben Shapiro. That is insane. That doesn't sell well. No matter, even if you're appealing to only Republicans, many Republicans won't vote for somebody on that level. And that's just the reality of what we have to deal with. We were dealing with the reality where
I don't
people.
believe that.
You don't believe that?
I'm not sold on that story either, dude.
That sounds insane to me.
Okay.
That sounds like it was lifted from
Kill
a movie
Ben
or something.
Shapiro. Dan Bilzerian is going to ask Nick to kill Ben Shapiro. Like,
That's crazy.
But I
Like,
don't
we
find
could come
that
up with some better-
that's hard to believe. But we have him on video, or like on audio, saying otherwise.
yeah. So why would he need to do it in private? And that's beyond the point. I don't really want to.
Well, would you make the
Also,
argument that?
There's no validity going to be had here on
Yeah.
that claim itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, if this turns into everything that I bring up, it's like, oh, I don't believe that. Well, then it's just like I really don't know what we're doing.
Okay,
here.
fine, but
You don't believe in it,
you're
it's
also
like-
discounting Tucker Carlson. He's attacked him.
Tucker Carlson is
He's attacked-
containment
he's
right.
attacked-
Tucker Carlson
Let me
is
guess,
some.
He's an idiot.
No, he's not an idiot, but he's also he's not getting the tag of low IQ anti-Semitism. He's getting the tag of containment right. He's getting a tag of being a part of the JD Vance entity. He's getting a tag because he's going to private-only events, a part of the Rockbridge network that was co-founded by JD Vance. That brings in people like David Sachs and Kid Rock and Jake Paul. We could go down the line. That's not the same thing what we're talking about. We were talking about low IQ anti-Semitism. And the broader point, and I guess we'll just finish it before we move on to Tucker Carlson, is because when you were talking about you're killing people, you make your only issue being Israel critical in almost in the omittance of everything else. That is the low IQ anti-Semitism. It's the same way I view the race thing. It's like what would be productive. Like I like Michael Spangler. You know why? Because he can articulate a refined point on race realism. You know why I'm less keen to like someone like Chud the Builder or people who just scream the hard R? Is because that's not productive to me in terms of convincing someone, persuading someone, and convicting them of the belief you're trying to get across. So that's where I come in at. It needs to be more refined. Dan Bilzerian putting his hair in a mullet and putting girls around his arm and screaming, fuck Israel. It's like, Max Blumenthal's doing that. Max Blumenthal also says F Israel.
I agree with that. I do.
It's too broad. Right. And so it opens itself up. It's too much of a liability. We need our side to be serious
But
and productive.
why not just leave it alone though? Like, why do you have to take that extra step to go after these people?
Because because again, we're going to go back to the fact that people who are not privy to politics, people who are not in the day in and day out, they're reading up to date news, they're checking X daily. It's harder for them to see the difference between a Dan Bilzerian and a Nick Fuentes, especially if their news source is Fox News, especially if they're listening to One American News, or they're only getting their news because they read an article on Apple or somewhere like that. That's the reason why he had to go out and over on top of it, is because this person's now not only just a liability to the movement, but they're a liability in the sense that people are going to group us together, and we can't have that. We want to maintain the serious and refined level we want to keep.
Yeah, but I
but
agree
you
with Zeb
can't.
on that. They're
That's
going to
my
do that
point.
anyway. They're going to
It's
do
not.
that
It's
anyway.
not possible. I mean, it's literally not possible. And to keep throwing the low IQ anti-Semitism around. I mean, Nick is the one that wants to tout this idea that he's the one that popularized the JQ. And it's like, yeah, well, if you want to claim that, then you also have to claim the low IQ anti-Semites. Like, that's just the nature of the thing. Because in contra to Daly, is that the populism brings on the retards, and you have to champion the retards the same way you champion everyone else if you're going to maintain this idea of running it. And so if Nick is running America First, then it has to adopt the things that it is created.
You got to include the
which is the
retards,
low
basically.
Yeah, I mean,
we can't.
This massive growth that Nick has had is going to bring on, and I would argue maybe even from the beginning with Myron and Sneeko, is going to bring on low IQ, Brown, everyone else under this umbrella. Whether or not I don't know, maybe they have some kink to be shamed all the time or something, but it's a inherent value that comes with growth, and you can't turn it away.
Okay, before I respond
you can't
to that,
just run away from it.
before I respond to that, I will say, for everybody who is super chatting in or has a power chat that comes in, I'll be reading those at the end. So if you have any questions for any of the specific guests or hosts, forgive me, we will address those in the final 20 to 30 minutes or so, or if there's not that many, final 10 or whatever. My response back to that is I actually talked about this with the Right Wing Coalition on Foulball's show yesterday, but in a different light, maybe more so as in the realm of feminism on this, is because the structure of our system is built on a liberal system. Everything is naturally drawn towards liberalism because that's what the system is built on, right? And to my distaste, too much of Enlightenment values. This is why the Republican Party they're basically liberals. They're not even really conservatives. Donald Trump is not an actual conservative as you would define it in terms of social conservatism. This is a guy who went out to say, I think it was behind closed doors, but he said he was giving his grievances for how irritated he's getting at Christians holding a hard position on abortion. That's not a conservative. So when everything's built on a liberal system, it's a system in which the left wing, which is actually closer to the nature of which the system is, can wield its retards, as in its more radicals like Destiny and Hassan Piker, the DSA, because it's basically an extension from where they are. Its perception of them is they're more active progressives. Like when we see these pride parades out there, the average person, what they see is they don't see a progressive DSA or the difference between a Democrat. They just see more active Democrats. It doesn't work the same way on the right wing. On the right wing, they still have, because we're operating off the liberal state being the main actual infrastructure to this country, the average person sees there's a Republican and a conservative, and there's a Nazi and an anti-Semite. Because that is the actual distinction. The dissident right is not built or meant for the infrastructure where everything already is. We are an antagonistic reaction to that. Go ahead.
I don't disagree with you. What I guess maybe there's a misunderstanding here on just the nature of systems as a general and not this specific system. Is that if the system itself is not extremely and inherently violently right wing, and I'll default to Dennis Prager on this, then it is by extension Jewish. It is a Jewish creation. And so all Jewish creations are going to value themselves left. And so that's where you get without going into extreme detail, that's where you get your gradually left. And so history shows gradually left, suddenly right. And so this is where you get your Nazism, Dennis Prager, and your socialism, or at least your National Socialism, that Dennis Prager says is not Jewish inherently, essentially, or not Jewish created. And so I would default to that position to say that the system doesn't matter unless it is that thing which is explicitly fascistic. We're saying the same thing, just differently.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I guess you would say there's no, like, our system as it sits currently is not, for one, built in any way, shape, or form if someone was to be a true fascist in this country, it would be irrespective of all the bureaucracies, right?
Absolutely.
It would be them it would be castigating away everything what the system is and saying, I don't really care what the rules are. That's my point.
No, they wouldn't be anarchic.
Not anarchy in the sense of like we're removing the rule of law from the country.
Like
I'm
burn it down.
talking irrespective of, like, we don't care what the Supreme Court just interpreted this rule as. It means nothing to me. That's what I'm talking about. It is being irrespective of those bureaucracies, the three-letter agencies, the smaller checks and balances that actually comprise what the democratic republic supposedly is built on. That's where, to me, it's like the left is already operating in a system that's built for them. Having the wide open democracy, the open borders, the things that are moving to that. Like, the left is operating on the system. It's like they're on their video game level that they're the best.
I would say abused. The system that was abused to benefit them.
Right. Well,
but sure.
Exactly. And we saw this with the fact of the Jeffersonian and the Hamiltonian debates, the fact that it was once a Christian enlightened kind of society. You could say these are the two majorative values that define the Constitution. And what has happened since then? Christianity's been removed, and all we have left are the Enlightenment values, which just go back to classical liberalism. That's why the left, they can lean into their radicals, right? But the right wing never does, and never really seemingly just can't, for one, because it just wouldn't be, for them, politically expedient.
So then what's the solution?
The solution, well, this is what you disagree with.
If you can't lean into what you believe in.
Well, so here's the thing. You're saying, how do we do this? But then you're saying you disagree with what I'm saying. But the point is Nick,
I'm not
because of everything.
I'm asking you what would be the solution, according to, let's say, Nick Fuentes.
It's what he's doing right now. It's a slow
walk it and hide your power level.
Right, exactly. It's the same thing. Are we really pretending like the DSA didn't do the same thing 80 years ago?
Yeah, it took them how long to get that done?
And that's my point. This is what I'm talking about, being irrespective of the practical and pragmatic realities of our world. If you want to speed that up, you're going to need to start pointing a barrel of a gun into someone's face. That's how you speed it up. And that to me crosses a line of now you're actively pushing something to a tumultuous, chaotic environment, because this whole concept of revolution and accelerationism and all of that it's always going to be a result in a W that's insane. Violent revolutions have a less than 26% chance of success.
You don't need to have
Even non-violent revolutions have a less than 53% chance of success. And those are historical numbers. So every time you say that, you're operating as if that the 26% is guaranteed, and it's not.
I never said violent. You can have a non-violent revolution.
And would you not say that is what Groyperism is? This Groyperism takeover? The fact that the Atlantic wrote earlier today in their article that TPUSA.
What would a non-violent revolution look like?
You'd have a bunch of different examples.
Marching.
Yeah, you just have
blow shit up. You got to make your presence felt. This was also one of the other things that I mentioned about Christianity. There's no like visible presence.
No. Let's take this to its conclusion. Like I'm not on board with infiltrate over 40, 60 years, whatever they're arguing. Yeah. I think infiltration's not possible from a white position just because it's not in our nature. You could have 1 or 5 or 10 people infiltrate a small organization, but you can't have a country or I don't know, maybe you probably need a couple hundred people to maybe decentralized organization infiltrate over generational periods. It's just it's not in our nature, and it's counterintuitive to who we are.
To do that.
But beyond that, like what would a non-violent revolution look like? Like those two words in this context don't go together.
So, but again,
It's making change.
was the DSA and the progressive takeover of the entire left wing of our country, was that violent? How many people did they kill to get there?
I mean, that's not the argument that I'm making.
Okay, so
But-
would you not define that the progressive switchover in the 80-year time was a non-violent revolution?
I would definitely not call that revolution. Would
Rev-
you? Is that how
revolution
we're
happens
defining it?
faster, is what you're saying.
I don't
Yeah,
think
I mean, a revolution is
no. I mean, even the American Revolution, what took place over how many years?
8. That's pretty quick.
It was not the entirety of 8. You're talking about the signing of the Declaration to the end of the war. I'm talking about everything that led up to that.
I'm talking about the war itself was 8 years. I mean, everything.
So that's
that
my
led up to
point.
that, I mean,
It's
is
clearly
a different
much longer
argument.
than that. Yeah,
Yeah,
even
but when
a
they
violent.
decided to fight is kind of the question, which is 8 years.
So you'd have to
But-
get people's mindset changed before you can do any of that, anyways.
Well,
Before
this
you
is
can.
another
Yeah, I
pragmatic
disagree.
element.
What do you
I
mean?
disagree.
If the people aren't with you, there's no way you can have a revolution, violent or otherwise.
They don't
No,
have a
that's
choice.
that's what
y'all
invokes a
don't
violent
understand.
revolution. Is you
Really?
decide you don't
When
longer
it comes
care.
to your door, you don't have a choice.
Right, but I'm
You're
trying to
talking
get
about
out of
a
Zeb.
violent revolution.
Hold on, I'm trying to get out of
All right,
Zeb
one at a
to
time.
acknowledge that what all the events that took place for even our own American Revolution was on like a 20-year, if not 30-year timeline. It was a large buildup.
Sure.
Okay, so but many people in the chat, and I imagine you would say, do you think America has 20 years?
I don't think so.
No.
So even inside of those elements, it's like, well, then how are you going to even going through your path forward?
Do you think those events have not started, Trayvon?
No. Are you kidding me? This is the whole thing I say with the Walmart example. In what world do you walk outside and think the average person is willing to go take up arms and fight for their country?
So
In
how long-
what world do you think we need to equal their numbers?
In the same world that when George Washington gave his first command as the leader in chief of the Continental Army, that they better pray to God and you better find a chaplain if you don't have
Agreed.
one, because we are in the vast minority going up against the world's greatest navy in the world.
Agreed.
And so, but in your okay, where's this magical population of people coming from, and how are you even
We
going
don't
to
have
coordinate
win the numbers
collectivize?
game. We're not going to win the numbers game.
I'm
That's my
saying
entire
even
point. You
to
can't
put up
win the
even
numbers game.
10,000 people. Just maybe give me some insight. How are you going to collectivize them? How are you going to coordinate them?
You
Who's going to be
don't-
in charge of it?
You don't have to collectivize. You don't have to.
Okay, then give me
Decentralized.
something to go
Not
off
on a
of. What is
grand
doing
scale.
something? But lead me into it. Like, explain it to me. Instead of just
Well,
saying,
it's
no, you
gonna-
can't,
it's going to
say what you
prompt
will.
itself- It's going to prompt itself. It's going to prompt itself without regard for someone organizing and marching themselves. It's going to prompt itself the same way that Chud's essentially his argument, at least from his position or their position, is that it was self-defense. And that's the argument. It's going to be prompted from outside the house and knocking on the door. We don't. The organization can start. But that's
wouldn't you need,
not
wouldn't
where
you need
all
a
of the
change of
force is coming
mindset
from.
to get to that point?
Where do you get the change of mindset?
No, hold on, Daily, because the way you're describing it sounds to me is it's still going. We're just basically waiting for the organic to happen on this foreseeable perceived timeline that it's just going to get so bad it will incur and prompt the revolution in of itself because of the extenuating circumstances that bring people there.
I mean, I guess you're assuming revolution is like I'm taking the federal government. Like that's not what
No, I'm
arguing
using
for. I don't
exactly what you
think-
should there. People coming to your door, right? Which I would assume what
Yeah.
you mean by that is coming to their door as in things getting so bad people recognize the situation
Yeah.
they're in. Okay,
We've
that's-
had this argument, this discussion on
Yeah.
on accelerationism.
but my point to you is it's like that's not that is that not doing nothing? That's like That's like you're waiting for the pot to get hot enough. You're waiting for the water to boil.
Well, I'm talking about the general population. I'm not talking about people that have their mindset already focused on manning their house, quote unquote, figuratively, and protecting that. Obviously, they're going to be more organized than people that aren't until it's too late for them to realize, and then they're going to be running around trying to figure out how do I keep my wife from being raped? Essentially, is what it's going to boil down to. So.
Yeah,
I don't understand the question necessarily. I'm not arguing for violent revolution. Like I'm not proactively arguing for the violent revolution. And
yeah.
if it sounds like that, I apologize. I'm just telling you what is going to happen.
But I'm saying to you, I'm responding to you in the context of what you're putting forward. And I'm saying in that context though, how is there any expectation that from that scenario that happens organically where people are already so screwed that it has to they physically have to be getting harmed or up to the point of which they feel their wife is going to be raped? How does that transition into any sort of victory or retaking of America? How does that not turn into some kind of complete collapse into a technocracy or something worse than that?
I'm not sold on maintaining America anymore. I mean, I don't think America exists in the definition of itself. I mean, and that's a recent development. I mean, this ruling yesterday has definitely put the cake topper on that one. What even is America? I mean, we can't even agree on what is America first, and not only that, but what is America? Like what is first? And we can't even agree on what is an America. And then beyond that, what is an American? And so, what's left?
Well, you define
literally what's left.
Well, you define America first, and then we'll wait until see which one of us says they disagree with whatever you put forward as a tenet.
Well, I would define American beyond that by genetics, and then a lineage, and then those people need to be priority, and everyone else is second-class citizens at a minimum.
What's no disagreement for me, but my only.
But you gotta define what the genetics are exactly. There's no such thing as American genes.
White European.
Yeah, there's multiple American genetic markers, but this isn't some like pseudoscience I'm pulling out of my ass here. We all know what an American is.
We do,
well, even so much so.
I think it's a cultural thing. I don't think it's because there's people that came to make this country. People have come from everywhere, all around the world, and eventually became American, going back to the inception, right?
Well, like what Zeb is saying,
majority were British.
Well, what Zeb is saying is no, there are distinct American markers. Like the American genome is now different than in Europe. You can see this. You can go down into it. So much so that the Black American genome is specifically have American markers that are different from their African predecessors. Now, albeit they're not too. Go ahead. Like
Doomer would, when we had this discussion, I mean, we basically disagreed on a lot of things. Like he's pan-European. He's relatively pro-Muslim at this point too, from what I can tell. But we were agreeing, if you take 100 Americans and 100 Europeans of any nationality and pull them into a giant pit and bury them, scientists, 100, 200 years from now can dig them up and delineate which ones were American and which ones weren't. Really? This isn't a crazy science. This is understood from a biological perspective. Yeah. And I mean, I don't have the literature in front of me, but I mean, that being said, there is a what we call an ethnogenesis, which is essentially a creation of a nation, which I would argue that the Northerners are a different nation than Southerners to some extent. But that being said, and to Alice's point about Black Americans, they aren't African. Even the Africans will tell you that. And so when you have an ethnogenesis of whites in America, and then blacks in America, they are their own nation within America. I'll grant them their own nation, which is they call themselves foundational Black Americans. I'll deny everything else that follows, but I'll at least grant them that they aren't African. And so from that perspective, we can then say, okay, these are Americans. And
I think you need to create an isolated ethno group for a certain amount of time in order to create a genotype where you can say this is specific. But since we've never not
they already
immigration.
Were. They were separated before America.
We've never not had immigration. So, even the heritage Americans have eventually somewhere throughout the generations married an immigrant that's come here, which has also contaminated the gene pool. And so I don't know how you get a ethnotype without the isolation required to create it.
Well, this is what I said at the beginning too. This is why you don't lead with like your most extreme positions. Something to this effect would have to be slow walked. But we can all agree and sit here and say that the Haitians got to go. There's no business for these people being here. The same thing for the Somalians and all the Middle Eastern refugees and everything else. And then I think from there, you can begin to make these kind of smaller kind of chips at it, of like really kind of nailing down what the scope is of an American. I do think there is truth in what you're saying, which is there is a lot of people who are now kind of, roped in back and forth. The same way that if we were to do reparations today, there'd be black people having to pay reparations because they would have ultimately been a descendant of a white slave owner. So these things are heavily
Black
mixed.
slave owner.
Yeah, right. And so
I'm gonna pay myself.
yeah. So that's why to me it's like on the practical elements, it's like I am so less concerned with things that are like to me many many years away, even if we were to start today, right? Because it was already a hard enough sell at what felt like for the mass deportations, and understand in the election, the greatest election of all time, the biggest one, it matters the most. Less than half the country even voted. So you have almost the majority of the country cannot even bring themselves to go to the voting booth and vote in what many people who are screaming at the top of their lungs would be the future or the downfall of America. So you're already operating in a system where the average person is tuned out, which is why you have to be very specific and precise and surgical. And the reason being, and you guys would both agree to this, because of the indoctrination and all of the brainwashing and propaganda that exists, the average person almost has like these kind of muscle reflexes to certain things being said. And it's not because they listen to politics, it's because it's inundated everywhere. It's in Hollywood, it's in your videos, it's censored on Instagram. The YouTube algorithm curates for this kind of stuff. And so because we understand that as actual mechanisms that operate and have operated for a while, you have to be able to understand how precise do we need to be to maneuver around them in order to get what we want. It's kind of the same thing with like the birthright citizenship. I would let all the transgenders play in women's sports if it meant that we could get rid of anchor babies. I would take that trade in a heartbeat. And that's going back to the prioritizations. And it's not like you can exchange that or that's just a hypothetical, but it's to illustrate that we need to rethink what the priorities are in terms of getting the best return on investment for each political action that we make.
So I think we should look at this in a way where we should consider what do we want, right? We want conservative values, right? We want Christian or at the very least Christian values. You don't have to be a Christian, but you at least have to have Christian values.
I think Christians should be treated, non-Christians should be treated as second class citizens. That would be like my ultimate
Class
end goal.
citizens?
Yes.
So you want an ethno state?
Yeah. I mean, in my perfect world, I would make it a white utopia.
Yeah.
like,
Sure.
like that. Yeah, that's
Like,
wholeheartedly.
You want to do what the Jews are
That's what
doing?
nationalist is. Like,
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yes.
because what the Jews are doing is infiltrating because they're a stateless people and they're nomadic. They have to do it to others. Okay.
So what if somebody just says, "Sure, I'm Christian"? How are you going to know the difference?
Well, they better keep it up because the moment we get wind that they're not Christian, they're getting
Yeah, I mean,
Stone
people will just
around
lie
something.
to live here. How do you know? They lie about all kinds of stuff.
right. But that's the point. It's kind of going back to the gay question, which is, yeah, let's make it illegal. It doesn't mean we got rid of gay. It's illegal now. Gay
Yeah.
doesn't exist anymore.
You just
It's
don't
like, no,
promote
but
it.
the better
Yeah.
position is that they have to talk about it quietly behind closed doors and hope that no one hears their conversations. I would like to return back to that America, right? Instead of
I know how to get rid of gay. I know how to get rid of gay.
how.
I can't say on YouTube.
Okay. I figured. But that's what I mean in the sense of like there for a lot of things there are no perfect solutions. It's the same way of like you make murder illegal, it doesn't stop murder. Right? There are certain things that are just simply they are a part of what human nature is. The same thing would be with homosexuality. But the better case scenario is instead of celebrating it and empowering it, at least if we say we're no longer going to recognize homosexual marriage, it's put in a position where it's like, or you outright just make it illegal, which I would love to. They now have to talk about it. Hush, hush. Grindr's gone, all these other gay apps gone, just they have to go. I would prefer that. That's extremely much more preferable to the environment we're in right now. Moving to positions where we actually shame degenerate, and I would also say unrighteous and sinful things, that's the direction we need to be moving in.
Yeah, I agree with that. Bring shaming back for sure. Because that's what basically kept people in line. If you didn't have a law for it, you just shamed people into stopping doing something, you know?
Right.
So
well,
that's stopped.
So that even more than being shamed, it would be like the shame would be coming from the family, and then it would be like, well, is sister going to turn you in? Are they going to tell the priest? Are we going to take this up a level? Like there'd be a lot of levels of deterrence with there, and that's just obviously inside of like the homosexual problem. But yeah, I mean, so like this is why I think there's
basically come back to my point. It's all cultural. There needs to be a culture that promotes this stuff.
Let me ask you, say it's all cultural, but it's like, okay, what is the culture in Haiti like? And then what was the culture in Haiti like prior to the cannibalistic?
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
It's like it's necessarily requires a specific people.
But can you teach
you can have
culture?
Zambia, you can have Zambia that's a Christian nation. They're still African culturally. Like you can't, like there's no escaping the thing which people are.
Yeah. Well, and this would go back to.
So you think culture is genetic?
1000%.
I don't think so. I don't think so. You can bring a.
Is personality genetic? Is personality genetic?
Some dispositions in personality can be genetically inherited.
Come on, give it to me.
It can be.
Come on. Personality is, or culture is just personality at scale. That's all it is.
So you don't think you can take anyone from anywhere and raise them in a particular way and change their culture? You think they're going to revert back to a culture they've never even experienced before? It's
not
just gonna
meaningfully.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's I mean, I don't know one way or another, but it sounds to me, I think it works because I've seen it happen before. I've seen people born here, like 2 generations down or whatever, 3 generations down. They barely speak the language of the country that they came from.
Yeah.
They've already married.
I promise you, I could pick out things within their personality or things they do on a daily basis that would expose them for the exact thing that they are. And I'll give you an example of this. I got an Indian friend. He's 2nd generation. His mom.
But is he around other Indians?
No, he's not. He's a doctor. Okay. He's married to a white lady. His mom and dad are extreme nationalists. Like they would side on me on immigration and things like this.
Yeah.
They're Brahmin from India, came over here in the 50s. And he is like, if you like you would say he's American, he is that thing that is American. But there's this thing that Indians are, which is vegan. And he has no real ties to his homeland or anything, but he is vegan and he tries to justify it even, vehemently because this thing that is just within them. It's like, okay, I go to Africa, I look around and these people have been worshiping demons for 6,000 years. It's like, okay, they're going to come to America. How many generations does it take to get out of them?
I don't know. I mean,
all of them. The answer is all of the generations.
Yep. Like in and of itself, the fact that someone's skin color is different is a literal gene being expressed differently.
Yes.
Than the ones that I have. Like, and here's the thing. Like I would prediction right now. The world will find the angry black man gene before it finds the gay gene. Like that.
They already found that. They call it the warrior gene, but
is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah.
So like there are genetic realities.
Are you joking or is that a thing?
No,
that is a thing.
Well, it's multiple genes. It's 4 genes. It's an actively aggressive gene.
Yeah.
Or it's a gene that is aggressive in exposure, meaning that they promote aggression and they have minus the frontal lobe aspect. They have shorter tempers is the temper the right word I'm looking for. But there's directly at least 4. I mean, I could probably pull it up and give you the numbers, just like GFC, blah blah blah, whatever the gene is.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Code.
But no, it's like, listen, I'm not a geneticist, but this nature thing goes a long way.
Right. Agreed. And this actually goes back to Christian belief. This actually goes back to going to what the actual scripture says and states and is meant to honor, right? Like this is why it's like they go hand in hand. You know, the Christian,
Thank you, merely.
I would even say like
Sorry.
Christian nationalism is almost redundant because in a Christian society, you already you already are nationalist. You do respect it. That's why it doesn't talk about immigrants, it talks about sojourners. It talks about people staying temporarily. It talks about
Gotta go back.
the ordering of love, right? When you have things like you go from you to your wife, to your children, to your community, to your tribe, to your city, to all of this is I won't even say forgotten. It's obviously clearly manipulated. You know, there's been clear and obvious manipulation inside of the Christian institutions, whether primarily evangelicals, although I would say it seems that every sect has had a bit of an involvement into it. And why are they doing that? Why are they obfuscating? Why are they watering down Christian belief? Well, it's because they're literally getting rid of the things that make it the what most people would call like the muscular Christianity or whatever term they want to throw out there. But that is the actual Christian view. It is a lot more robust and comprehensive. That's why you see so much of these conversations revolving around, this guy said, yeah, Jesus said, just be nice one time. And it's like, that's not that. It's actually extremely explicit. We're talking about, depending on which Bible you're in, 66 plus books that are all both talking about the gospel, but laying out laws and the transitions of laws in order to give people the understanding, not only in terms of how they should carry themselves as individuals, but in categories in terms of how a nation should operate, how elders should operate. It's categorical in that sense. But most people are so demure on that. They're so reductive. They look at Christian as like this blank slate. It applies equally in all areas, and it's not that.
Well, it reinforces the nuclear family, which is the foundation to society itself. That's why they want to tear Christianity down and minimize it, because it also weakens the nuclear family, which ultimately weakens society.
Well, I would say that that's not their primary goal, but it is clearly and it's in effect currently. I think specifically the targeting of the nuclear family not as the primary goal, but as a goal to get consequences. It is atomized the average person. Now what you see all over is so many children who don't agree with their parents. You don't see the tight knitness of what once used to be nuclear families. Think of the average daughter in a relationship with her father. How many daughters do you think when the dad says you're not leaving age 18, you're going to stay at home until I find you a husband? That doesn't exist anymore. Obviously that ropes in feminism, but it is one of those areas where you can look at where the nuclear family is not what it once was. Even those who are in conservative families who do their best to uphold what they call the nuclear family still aren't operating inside of the strict nature of which that you would expect or like to see inside of a socially conservative family, and especially a Christian one.
Yeah.
You're not going to hear disagreements from me.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, since we're already a good bit in, let's switch it to what the last subject actually, which is kind of a cut it in a way. This is going to, because we didn't too much into Kirk. The Wilson and John Doyle being on the team for TPUSA. I guess you're the one that's most familiar with it, Zeb. Do you want to kind of give your opener on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not extremely familiar. I mean, I've been off Twitter for about, not off, but I've been private and kind of backing off of the daily news thing for, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks now. And but no, I logged on yesterday or day before and I see Andrew Wilson like shilling heavily for Turning Point and going full on white knight for Erica Kirk. Let's go. Woman power, feminism rules. If you attack Erica Kirk, I will attack you. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on over there. To be honest with you, we had some beef a while back because he wanted to defend Epstein for like 10 minutes against Owen Schroyer in a debate that I was at, and I think I in good faith made the argument that he did, which he did, and I will stand by that. And I don't know. Apparently I owe him something. All that being said, it's like, why are we going full head over heels to defend Turning Point USA? Obviously, that's where the money is, and he got paid. He said he did. At a minimum, go train debaters, whatever that means. Him and John Doyle, and then on the back end of that, like defend them profusely, specifically Erica Kirk against Baron Coleman, which I'm not a fan of. But listen, I'm not a fan of anybody here. Okay, I'm out here on an island by myself. It is what it is. But that being said, it's like Andrew Wilson and I mean John. I don't think John Doyle's come out really too hard in either position yet. Maybe I've just missed something, but
I did see a tweet from earlier.
Okay, yeah. Maybe we can read that or see what he said. But yeah, I mean Andrew basically said he'll die on this hill that Erica Kirk had no involvement in anyone attacking TPUSA or claiming that they had any involvement in Charlie Kirk's killing. Is he'll debate them any day of the week, anytime. I'll do it right now. So I don't know what's going on over there. There's obviously some, I'm not going to say switch up, but you know, Andrews had a couple hiccups since his Rumble exclusive deal, let's say.
Yeah, I'm going to put it on screen for everybody to see. At least we have the clip from both Andrew Wilson and John Doyle here.
Oh, I can't see that shit.
And oh my bad. Yeah, it's pretty small. But so yeah, the gist is obviously Andrew Wilson is joining John Doyle, but seems to be in a group effort to train up these debaters for a part of TPUSA. I'll read the tweet specifically here. This is from John Doyle. This is John Doyle backing up Andrew Wilson. He says, a friend pointed out that the deliberate and coordinated lying to incite harassment by the retarded against Kirk's family, friends, and colleagues is actually as evil as the assassination itself. That is true. As evil as the assassination was, I can at least make sense of it. I cannot make sense of this. And the reason I wanted to pull that up for you guys to see and be able to and have on screen is because like there's a lot of different angles here actually that I could really begin to pick through. The first one, which I agree with Zeb on this, like that is a self-defeating principle for Andrew Wilson to have built a career off of being extremely antagonistic against feminism, but specifically aiming it at the conservative side of the aisle, which they can now term like I think covert feminism, or he thinks he calls them femcons or something like that. But this sect of girls who exist in the conservative wing, or really just this broad kind of nature of it, and then you go to TPUSA for I think it's the Pick Up the Mic campaign is who they're training them for this new TPUSA campaign. He's now coming out and he's training these girls.
Is that what they're naming it? Is that the name of it?
Pretty sure it's called
campaign.
Yeah, Pick Up the Mic campaign. And from what I've read, it's like the majority of those new influencers they're going to be putting out there to do the campaign are predominantly female. So now are you telling me that Andrew Wilson then went to TPUSA to help train girls to debate their feminist points better? It's like, is that not the most like self-defeating thing like I've ever heard? Now, I did say to you earlier in the messages, the only way I can see him getting out of that would be like, is that what John Doyle is there for? Is that why they brought John Doyle along too? Wilson said, I agree, but I'm only going to teach the men. And then did John Doyle come in and he's like, I'll take up the women. But either way, that was kind of the biggest thing I saw in there that was gross. John Doyle obviously backing him up. But that's the secondary claim. John Doyle saying that people attacking Erica Kirk is just as bad as the assassination itself. That is fucking insane. But, Pano, your thoughts?
I mean, I don't even know what to do with it, to be honest with you. like it's so delusional. I mean, another thing Andrew said was like, he said, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence that he wasn't shot in the neck by 30-06? Where's the evidence? It's like, no shit, dude. No shit, man. Sorry, Daly. You
well, it was Tyler Robinson that did it, you know? So.
Sure.
What are you going to do? That? It's Nick Fuentes says so, you know.
Yes. Well, that's when we can. I mean, that's when we can get into right now if you want to.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, so you guys go ahead and give your positions. I'm going to be in the defensive here.
On what happened to Charlie Kirk?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean his position is basically the official narrative. Like what?
I want to go to Valhalla, so
yeah.
I believe that Cash Pajit told me exactly what happened.
This is my point. Like this dude pops in at the most critical times to basically create cover for things like this. You can't believe the official story.
So can you lay out how it happened? Can you give me your oppositional
what I can do
narrative?
is tell you the official story sounds like absolute nonsense.
Okay, cool. what is your then?
I mean,
what was
without going into the whole analysis of it, we can, which can take forever. But
no? I don't want the analysis of the official narrative. I want you to give me what happened that day. If it wasn't Tyler Robinson, who pulled the trigger? How did it get set up?
I don't need to know that to know the official story's nonsense. Yeah.
Come on.
Do you need to know? Do you need to know who pulled the trigger to know that someone didn't pull the trigger?
What?
Yeah. Do you need to know the person's name that pulled the trigger in order to know that someone else didn't pull the trigger?
Could you not simply say?
Obviously, mic exploding. Obviously.
Yeah. Well, could you not just simply say Mossad Agent A? I'm just asking if you can even
No, I
begin
don't
to give
know.
me a
No, I
timeline
don't
or a
know.
sequence of events from point A to
I don't
point
know.
B.
But
It was
the
obviously
official-
the French.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, but it's not what they say happened. It's
Well,
clearly
okay.
a cover up.
I mean, then I would say, you know what? That's a fair position. You don't believe in the official narrative, but you don't have anything else to go off of. Zeb, can you give
No, I
me a
got plenty.
positive? Okay, can you give me plenty?
Yeah, I mean, I
What do you
would
want
agree.
specifically?
I would agree to an extent that it's largely irrelevant what the alternative is or what actually happened. The question isn't did this happen? The question is the official narrative rock solid? And the answer is obviously no. I mean, my position should be well known. I mean, I've barely changed any details to the position I've held since literally day one. Number one being the neck isn't an injury wound. It's obviously exit by like it can't be recreated beyond that. And yeah, I mean, I would hold a shot from the back right. Who pulled the trigger? Don't know. Hey, let me call UVU up. Hey, can I get that camera footage?
Yeah.
Oh no, let me call the FBI. Oh, they're going to give us everything except for the things that we would need to get an answer to this. And so it's just like, you know, a lot of people want to call it back to JFK or, you know, MLK or whatever. All of these things is that the organizations, the federal organizations, intentionally withhold evidence, knowing that it's going to spur conspiracy. And this is a known tactic. This isn't something I'm pulling out of my ass. We know they do this. They've admitted to doing this, and so to withhold the evidence to create this continuous conspiracy theory
Plausible
of mine
deniability
is well within the ballpark of the thing.
I don't
So-
disagree. But my point being is like, then in all of this, you have to acknowledge though that you don't, like, you can say you can poke holes in the official narrative, and I would agree with you on some of those. But the point being to that is, where's anything positive in the argument against it, right? Where would be a communication that would reveal something, or I mean anything, any
So
amount
the
of evidence
point-
in the positive towards an oppositional theory against a lone shooter narrative?
So the point wasn't as much as who did it. It was more that we don't really know. And even the government right now doesn't know. The case is still in court. Nothing's been figured out, but Nick Fuentes like, it was Tyler Robinson. I know
But
it
they know, though.
100%, you know? So that
But they know
already,
though.
yeah.
They know, but
Yeah,
they know
of course
what
they know.
though?
Of course they know. They helped. They made it happen.
But here's my
they-
point. It's like,
Go ahead.
but what do you beyond like the
Mossad, bro, he had a security team with him. They would be the most intimate and know what happened. They were the ones involved, and they're the ones who carried it out. If you
But
ask
my
me.
point being is like, what beyond speculation do you have?
Like,
And
what
that's-
are you
But that's
looking
exactly
for,
my
Alice?
point.
Like, what are you looking
Nick
for?
doesn't have anything either, but he claims that he knows exactly what happened. He
Well,
doesn't. So
uh,
he's
I
creating.
mean, we
cover
But you would,
for the
but
official
in
narrative.
order to hold your position, in order for me to even halfway compromise and agree, like for the sake of argument, your position, I would have to say that everything everything about this case is completely, it's all BS, and every news agency is in on it. Brian Harpole's in on it. You know, you'd be roping
he's
into all these
definitely
different
in on
people.
it for sure.
Yeah.
You seen that Sean Ryan interview? But no, to your point is like, what are you looking for? Obviously, we can only go off of what we've been given. It's not like
Well-
we have access to video that doesn't exist. And so when we look at the videos that were published literally the day of that weren't from the FBI, we can say that, okay, Tyler Robinson cannot be in two places at one time. He cannot get here from here. He cannot be here and here. This is even not even getting into the repetitive
rifle?
stuff that's happened over the few months. It's like, okay, not only that, the neck is not an entry wound. It cannot be an entry wound. It cannot be created. That is a physical impossibility. And so this question for positive conferment on something else is largely irrelevant to the question of did the official narrative happen. It's physically impossible for the thing that they said to happen to have happened. On top of, there's an obvious cover up going on from day one, but most recently is this idea that Tyler Robinson was in custody, reported by Cash Patel. Tyler Robinson was in custody, turned himself in, when in fact he actually wasn't in custody until like 12 hours later or something like that.
But they didn't say it was Tyler Robinson, though. They said they had the suspect in custody. I remember what you're talking about. It was like a few hours before they actually got Tyler Robinson. But they didn't say it was Tyler Robinson the first time that he got him into custody. They said it was suspect has been apprehended, right? So you're talking about the fact that they caught someone and then let them go, and then a few hours later they got
3 people prior to Tyler Robinson turning himself in.
Well, but those 3 people, one of those people was the guy who, well, I forget, that crazy Jew guy. That was one of them who was a part of that.
Zen?
I forget what his name is. The one who was like
His last name
screaming.
was Zen. I don't know what his first name was.
Screaming.
Yeah.
Then there was a second one who had this crazy Amish name, right? It was like super Amish Mormon. It was like Zebediah something, who was like not even in the area. Yeah, he was. Oh yeah, right. That's right. But he wasn't even in the area. He was like an hour and a half like northwest. I mean, I might be wrong on the distance, but he was like not even close to where the campus area was at. And then the third one, I don't think we ever got a name for. But that was the one that came like a couple hours later, like near the area, like unnamed. And then Tyler Robinson, I do believe, was the fourth, and then they deemed it was the correct person.
Well, the third one wasn't even really reported on. I think 2 outlets picked it up prior to.
What about the guy who actually tried to turn himself in too? Another guy, the old guy, the bald one. I forget his name.
That's what we're talking about. The crazy, crazy Jew guy.
George Zinn.
So everything was on the up and up. Yeah, Zinn, that's what it was. If everything was on the up and up, and there was nothing to cover up or create, where did this guy come from? Why did he do that in the first place?
He did it multiple times. He did it at the Boston.
Yeah, why?
At the I couldn't tell you. You asking like why a schizophrenic sees faces I don't see? I literally couldn't explain that to you.
To give the actual people time to get out of there. They were probably helping occupy law enforcement and create confusion to allow people to get out of there, do whatever they needed to do.
Okay,
I mean,
and
it's possible. I think it's largely irrelevant, to be honest.
Yeah, George.
But
I mean,
it's just every little piece just adds to it not adding up to the official story, which Nick Fuentes says is exactly what happened.
Well, I would actually agree with you on this if I could give my fuller point, because I predicted months ago that Tyler Robinson is going to get an innocent verdict. I don't think that they're going to be able to rule that Tyler Robinson is guilty because of the massive preponderance of evidence. And I think one of the major aiding elements in that is the fact that they had, there's the big element between the Joe Kent, I couldn't remember his name, Joe Kent and Tulsi Gabbard being shut down super early on into any kind of, foreign elements. And that, including with the gag order, and not even just one gag order, but multiple gag orders, I think that the defense can be able to rely upon
3,000 gag orders.
Right. And I think the defense can just stand on procedural grounds by just saying that they could just simply argue that there was clearly a manipulation and they did not pursue the investigation to the best and fullest and objective sense as possible. The defense can rely on procedural grounds by saying they intentionally targeted Tyler Robinson when they didn't pursue other leads. How much will that play up in court? I don't know. I do think, however, because of people like Candace Owens, you could put in Darren Coleman, Ian Carroll, that there is so much out there that this may be a very long court case. You may be in there for a long time, going back between cross-examination, witness being pulled in there, that it may just get extremely muddy in the end.
Let me see if I can, I guess bring the Wilson Doyle aspect back into this. Yeah. It seems to me as though, and maybe I'm probably giving a little bit too much here on how the game is played, putting a target on myself. It seems to me as though they were brought in specifically to bait people into defamation of Erica Kirk, specifically. That is what it looks like to me. And that is what I think Andrew is doing is trying to bait people into defamation, specifically of Erica Kirk, and he's doing that via I'm going to defend TPUSA and Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk.
Well, that's what I'm confused about.
That's what I think. There's a position.
So I would think that, but as far as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, that Candace Owens was basically made forced to sign. I don't know if it was an NDA, but when she met with Erica Kirk, and then the talk was that if she was to say anything or continue this, that she was going to get a defamation lawsuit thrown at her. But Candace Owens has obviously continued, maybe not as
I'm not
rough.
familiar with her signing anything, but possibly.
Well, they did meet together. I don't know if they signed anything or not. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. It's been so long.
Yeah, they did meet.
But they did meet together.
Some 4-hour meeting. Yeah.
And but as far as I understood, the gist of that meeting was that they were basically threatening Candace. They showed Candace stuff and said, now that you've seen it, if you continue what you're saying, we're going to sue you for defamation. That was the gist of the meeting, from what I understand it, from what I can recall.
But she did continue.
That's my point, and there was no defamation lawsuit. So that's why I was bringing that up to Zeb, in the sense of the defamation lawsuit being wielded against people continuing with the grieving widow, in the sense of Andrew Wilson and John Doyle.
Yeah, but it's specifically Erica Kirk either knowingly or actively participating in the death of Charlie Kirk. I think it's specifically that. Now Candace hasn't come out and explicitly said that, which is why I think they're baiting.
And I guess, do you think they're trying to bait like mid-tier like YouTubers? Is it because that's who I would imagine is going to be trying to debate against Doyle and Wilson.
Well, I mean, Wilson has come out pretty aggressive at Baron Coleman, and obviously Candace is in there too. So I mean, I don't know. I would call them mid-tier. I mean, he was pulling major numbers.
I'm not calling Wilson or John Doyle tier. I'm talking about the people who'd be like taking them on, right? Because I don't think Owen Schroyer's dumb enough to go back into that. I don't even know if. Well, I don't think even Owen Schroyer has said that Erica Kirk has knowingly or willingly participated in the death.
I think they're trying to bait him in. That's my point.
It's a possibility.
I'm always right, so there's that.
I don't know. I guess to me, I feel like that's a little far out there. I would expect they would go after Candace Owens, because to me, like, the biggest W you could get would be getting it on Candace Owens, and I would think by now.
Candace doesn't take the debate, dude. Like, what does she gain from it? Nothing.
Well,
it's
not even the debate.
Candace's position.
I don't think you need to be as narrow as Erica Kirk knowingly or willingly participating in the cover-up. I think they could get her on defamation on something else. They could get him on something that she maybe has said about Andrew Colbert, between his communications. And again, this is coming from somebody who's been not paying attention to the Charlie Kirk discussion for the last 3, 4, 5 months.
I mean, I haven't either. I got out, dude. I got out of there for a reason. Okay. I saw behind the curtain. I was like, nah, everybody here is a Fed. So there's that too.
Yeah, I stopped paying attention to her too. Her story kind of got a little convoluted, and I don't know. It seemed like it was dragging on.
But is she not? Is she not boosting the other people with different theories, like Baron Coleman and Ian Carroll? They seem to be like their own network. So
they're. So yeah, okay. So what's the danger if they are a Fed? Right? They're supposed to.
I'm gonna opt out of this one.
They're supposed to mislead you, right? That's what the whole point of a plant is. They agree with you, and then all of a sudden, whenever it's convenient, all of a sudden they lead you in the direction they want you to go in, right?
Well, and here's my argument.
Isn't that what a plant does?
Which is, so here's something.
Call them narrative drivers.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I would say too. The same way that I think that you guys would sit there and argue that the Charlie Robinson, because your guys' argument essentially is that he's a patsy and it's meant to cover up for other foreign involvements, for other foreign motives. But I think the other way you could pin it is, like, could it not be the other way around when you're looking at Candace Owens, Baron Coleman, Ian Carroll, that they're specifically, and especially with the aid of somebody like Max Blumenthal, who formerly worked with the SPLC, who dropped the article from the Gray Zone that exaggerated the Bill Ackman back and forth? Could that not also be the same way that they are narrative drivers to get the attention away from the left and put it back on Israel? in fact, when the left.
Next question.
So Zeb, you don't have to answer this.
Nick
I know you
Fuentes
maybe personally
actually
tied.
claimed that the idea came from the gray zone, which is retarded. Like right when it happened, me and my wife saw it. We were watching it, and I was like, you know what? Israel did this. I turned to her and I'm like, this was Israel. And then we later on find out a lot of other people are thinking the same thing. And this is long before I saw anything else, gray zone or any other person's perspective. The moment I saw him get shot, I was like, it was Israel.
But you're somebody who's
first words out of my mouth, I swear. Yeah.
Correct. But you've already said you were somebody who's watched Nick Fuentes since like 2020, since for a while. So you're already someone who's
Nick
tapped
Fuentes
into the JQ.
doesn't even agree. Yeah.
But that's not the point I'm illustrating here. You're saying I'm saying you're somebody who's already tapped in politically, tapped into the JQ. So when you saw an event like that, I'm talking about the normies, like Max Blumenthal. That article being telegraphed or being pushed, being reported on, amplified, boosted. They not only talked about Bill Ackman's the exaggerated thing, which turned out to be not true at all, because Charlie Kirk was the one that wanted to have the meeting to get advice from Ackman on. And the second thing that came from there that was never corroborated, which was the supposed like $200 million that Netanyahu was going to pay Charlie Kirk to not talk bad about Israel. Those were not corroborated. So to me, I think that you could just as easily make the case that Candace, Ian Carroll, Baron Coleman, I'm probably forgetting a couple since it's been a while, are actually taking the heat off of the left and putting it on Israel. You could make the same argument.
Yeah, I don't know. You think they're leftists?
They're definitely not conservative.
Candace Owens?
She's a woman speaking publicly.
She's a Christian, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. But they all do now. They almost all do now, bro.
Right, but that is not.
You can't exclude. You can't say they're not Christian anymore because.
For Candace specifically, we'll move away from her.
Yeah,
because you're talking about someone who's got connections with somebody like John Mappin. You're talking about someone who's got a very curious marriage set up. You're talking about someone who could probably has a lot of different other holes in different areas that aren't even relevant to this.
I agree.
Even. So my point being back to you is like the majority pushers though of the narrative that Israel did it are rife with their own agendas, and you can look through it backwards, sideways, up and down. It's amounted to nothing. We're getting close to a year long worth of having the highest attention on this issue. We've developed no positive evidence because we just keep jumping from Egyptian planes to astral projection to Lord knows whatever I've missed in the last couple of months. It's resulted in nothing. And the only thing I would say it's resulted in,
every single person on that security detail in, and they should have been scrutinized top to bottom. I mean, they just didn't do what they were supposed to do from what I can tell.
Well, as far as I understand, I know that Brian Harpole has now documented exchanges now, and I do think there are a couple other people that have actually had their conversations and text messages and communications have been turned over to the Utah. I'm not going to be able to. Whatever Utah.
Yeah, Harpole's text, or either whoever was heading up security's text, kind of got pushed out. Talking about the securing the top of the building, but they weren't even talking about the building that I claim that he was on. So it's like everything that's pushed is kind of like irrelevant to a point. And just baseline moving forward, if we can all understand that everyone is a Fed except me, then I think we can speed this conversation up a little bit.
When Atlas said she's also married to a curious individual, whatever. Yeah. It's like no matter whose background you look at, there's still some kind of fedulated activity going on. These people could all be feds for all we know.
Not me.
They all.
I'm sitting here in the trailer park with my wigger ass trying to do politics. Like I think for the most part, and it's a lot of these people who are put on a pedestal. I think Baron Coleman does stand out to me as somebody who is curiously had a rise through here. I think some people would say it would be the fact, and the only really big thing with Baron Coleman that I can remember is specifically that he was live streaming when the Google results were showing up in Israel. But that to me almost is like, I don't think that's enough to catapult someone to where they are right now. Maybe it's perhaps he's being amplified by Candace Owens. So, but again, we'll move away from
Coleman was working with Ali Alexander in Alabama and Stop the Steal. He filed Stop the Steal the day of the election. So it tells me that they already had pre-papers filled out with Ali Alexander. And so Baron Coleman has a history with Breitbart. He was writing with Breitbart prior to all this. Baron Coleman didn't come out of fucking nowhere. Why is Baron Coleman not practicing law in the place that he passed the bar in, that he has a law license in?
And well, whose side is he on? He's on which side? The Israel did it side?
It depends on who you ask. On its face, sure.
Yeah. Well, at the bare minimum, he's clearly attacking the quote unquote official narrative. That's like been his primary prerogative.
Sure.
Right. And so that to me, if he's attacking the official narrative, if the official narrative is it was a left winger who did it, that whether intentional or not, he is providing pressure relief for the left. And I think that's something to pay attention to, because think about who got the gas taken off of them in this event. It was the left wing. It was the left wing that got the gas pulled away from them because all the attention immediately went to Israel. And here's the thing as well, too.
Absolutely, I agree.
I would also add into that, too, like, regardless of whether they did or not, the effect still, the consequence still happened, which is that so many people are now wary of Israel and have now been tapped in or were given a reason or a bridge to begin to pay attention to Israel and be Israel critical. So regardless of even if they did it or not, that effect still was a consequence of the event occurring. And I think therein, I think that on the same grounds of what you're making against for, not the left, not Tyler, it's Israel, I could equally with the same amount of positive evidence go, not Israel, it was Tyler Robinson. Crayon.
You think that one guy was able to get away with all that stuff, huh?
We didn't get away with it.
Get in there and take out Charlie Kirk with like the most advanced Mossad security team.
But it wasn't
Charlie Kirk, some guy who's banging a furry or whatever.
But it wasn't though. This is the reason why they got Brian Harpole's communications, was because he was complaining to the police about rooftop restrictions. It was they were talking between about drone restrictions. Brian Harpole was the one that raised the issue to the police that they don't have a good enough security access on the rooftops. So
yeah, and why is that?
Well, you could go to Thomas Crooks and with the Trump presidency. You could go.
I'm pretty sure that communication read more like a miscommunication of who was actually covering the rooftops at the time, and in hindsight, they didn't have enough security on the rooftops. But regardless, I mean, Harpole, they essentially disowned Harpole especially after his Sean Ryan interview. They were like, this dude has no association with us. So
yeah. Well, to that point though, I would just raise the same thing, which is the police not doing what they're supposed to and not having all the right to security access. Because what you're saying is like Tyler Robinson did these perfect things. He's like 007. He knew exactly where to go. He's perfectly getting around it. Well, on the other side of it, you have these people actively like, oh, you had the roof? Oh, I thought you had the roof. Oh, fuck. Nobody had the roof.
Come on.
And it can be but again, you're saying that with no evidence, and I'm saying it can equally be attributed to incompetence. The same way that we have little woman in the Secret Service. Like
these people
a lot
brag about being the best of the best, like 24/7.
But we know they're not. Cash Patel bitched and moaned in a bus for like 35 minutes because he didn't have a right-fitting FBI jacket when he wanted to go out and talk to the press about this event. Like we know they're incompetent.
Yeah, but Charlie Kirk's security team wasn't it wasn't FBI. His security team was supposed to be like elite Mossad motherfuckers.
I'm not saying that. I'm
like
saying
John Wick or some shit.
I'm saying if even the America's FBI is led by an Indian who wants a jacket, well, what does that say about everyone else that's downstream from there? That was what I'm trying to illustrate. Not that it was the FBI covering it, but that specifically, that if the incompetence is that rife in that three-letter agency, I would imagine it's going to be everywhere. Much like how we see in the Secret Service with Thomas Crooks, right? That became the argument then, which was all of this like miscommunication. They didn't have the right spots. They didn't have the right roof scoped out. They didn't do the right security detail beforehand. Well, what do they attribute it to? Incompetence.
I mean, bro,
they
when
attribute
you
it to them
watch
just
that
being
happen,
stupid.
and you when people like us, normies, we're not, law enforcement, we haven't had any kind of crazy training like that. We can see the obvious positions that should be guarded. You're telling me that these people are dumber than us and they couldn't think of that, who have had training for this kind of stuff? They couldn't think of that.
You're talking about people who think women can serve. Like
Yeah, but
I
the
agree with
Secret
what you're saying
Service
here.
too did this with Trump, supposedly, if that even really, like, I'm questioning whether that was even real anymore. But the Secret Service did the same thing. They didn't have the roofs guarded. Like, what's going on here? Either this is all bullshit, or these
Right.
people got to be the dumbest people and shouldn't
Well,
have these jobs.
That's what I would say. If I were to turn back, if I was to steelman your argument, I would actually lead with that aspect. I think that is probably the most leading element in your guys' case. Less so the motive and less so the Bill Ackman stuff that I think has already been disproven. It would be looking at the similarities between the UVU shooting and what occurred with Thomas Crooks, and looking at how have we not learned the lesson of, Lord have mercy, someone get a scout up there, someone get the rooftops checked out. And think about how close those events were to each other, and you have the same thing happening. My point being is that can though still also be easily explained away by incompetence. And all you have to do is, I'm just going to hold up the photo of the Secret Service woman's fumbling to grab her gun out while the president is literally being shot. That's my
That's
point to
also
you.
the official story too. Incompetence was like, oops, we fucked up. So that's what happened. You can't blame anyone else. You can't blame us either, because we were just dumb. What are you gonna do? So
Well, I
that's
mean,
the most
I would disagree with
convenient
that.
explanation to basically keep anyone from getting into any real trouble at the end of the day. So it's a protective measure to say they were just dumb and they couldn't put it together.
I'm not saying I agree one way or the other. I'm just saying, without any positive evidence outside of that, it can still be explained by incompetence. And until you get more positive evidence that would speak to the sequence of which you think happened, people are still going to go fall back on, it's easier to explain it away with incompetence. Because according to Occam's razor, that is the thing they can make the less assumptions about to make sense of what occurred.
So
With the Israel
says
thing,
the
it's like
same thing.
assumption,
Israel
assumption,
says the
assumption.
same thing. They said when we bombed those ambulances or whatever, it was just an accident. We missed or whatever. And so,
Well, that
it's,
I don't
you
think
can
that's
say, well, they made a mistake. They were dumb or whatever. So that basically takes away all the guilt and responsibility of them, hitting, by the way, multiple ambulances. They got caught burying the goddamn thing. It was on camera.
right. But I don't
But,
I don't
their
think those are
explanation
comparable.
is, well, Occam's razor, man. Occam's razor. What's the simplest answer? They were just too dumb. So this is the way
Well-
they usually try to discredit people who challenge the official narrative. Is they bring out this whole nonsense about Occam's razor.
I would sit there and say, yep, definitely. And until you get positive evidence towards what you're putting forward, they're still going to be able to rely on that, because that's what the average person, it's easier for them to digest and understand.
Well, what if you bring forward discrepancies in the official story? Isn't that good enough to
Well, what would
disprove their claims?
those discrepancies be?
60 years from now.
Yeah.
Well, what would be one of them? Like, what would you lead with?
How about that the 30-06 couldn't go through or Charlie Kirk's titanium or adamantium neck bones stopped at 30-06?
They'll just point at MLK.
That's
Yeah, but
not
MLK, it's not apples to apples. But yeah, but I mean,
It's really close. It
Atlas
was
is playing.
similar distance,
What about the
similar angle.
off-gassing? Did you see the video in slow motion? His shirt's like off-gassing, like when an explosive goes off, it puffs up like this. A bullet hitting your neck doesn't make your shirt freaking do this, bro.
But here's the thing. I think that
does?
I've seen explanations
Yeah.
on both sides of this.
It
Again,
makes your shirt balloon up like that.
but the average
Yeah, I would agree with
person is not a ballistics expert, nor would they know what ballistics was, even if someone was telling them these are ballistics, right? This is a normal event. I was more so wanting to know what like discrepancies you had, like between like what was said and then like the evidence didn't match up with what was said.
Well, what about the rifle being hidden in the guy's leg? He was running up the stairs. Try to shove a rifle down your pant leg and try to bend your knee going upstairs and see how that
I mean,
works out.
Atlas is looking for something definitive.
Correct.
Yeah, if we had
And
something definitive, then we would just say
it's
it.
not
Like,
there.
yeah,
Well,
there's
and
enough to say that their story's bullshit, is what I'm saying.
well, I disagree. That's what I'm disagreeing with you. I'm not even putting forward an antagonistic position here. I'm just saying the position I think that you are trying to convey is way too weak without something definitive, because it relies too much on speculation and circumstance or circumstantial.
As opposed to the official story.
Because the official story has DNA matching between both the towel the gun was wrapped in, both
What
the
does
trigger
that
that was
mean?
covered.
They couldn't just set that up.
See,
I
but
would say that's circumstantial too, but
again, you're putting forward.
Here's what we're fighting against: is that the official narrative is just default. That's what runs. Like, I mean, look at JFK. Like, the official narrative is what runs and is what you have to fight against. And if you don't have overwhelming evidence against it, then Atlas's position is the correct one, that the retards are going to be retarded. Shocker.
Right. And you have confessions. I think you have 2 confessions, actually. You have one that's not in text that he gave to his parents. So I guess it was more of an implied confession. The second one is in the Discord that he said post-shooting.
Now, but yeah.
Right.
That's a gray area.
Yeah.
Sure.
So with that, though, this is probably a good spot to go ahead and end it. We're going to go ahead and switch over to some of the super chats that we got in here. We'll see what people said. Probably nothing good. Let me find this here. Let me go back. We start this first one here. We have some subscriptions. Let me go earlier. It's from today. Today's the 1st, right? Yeah, so let's see here. Oh, nice. Mr. Moss just resubscribed on Kick. That's not relevant to this, though. Let me find one that actually is from today. Okay, first one from Caleb Camarillo. He says, all these people attacked Nick first. Dan, Jake, Casey, and others. Nick didn't come out of nowhere and attack people, which is, I guess, what I was saying about disagreeing with your framing of Nick constantly attacking. I see it much more as him being defensive.
I must have missed that.
This next one is from GeoGaster, who sent 2. He says, funny for someone who endorsed Laura Loomer.
Talking about Nick endorsing Laura Loomer.
Interesting. Oh. Yeah. Talking about ancient history, I guess. GeoGaster sent another one. He said 5. He says, yesterday, Nick was outcast because his opinions could stain the rep's image. Today, Nick outcast Bazarian because his opinions might stain Groiper's image. And yeah, we would say, I think Zeb would even agree with me here, that gatekeeping is a relevant part of the movement. We just don't like that the gatekeepers are Jewish.
I mean, I would say to a point, that point being sometimes Nick gatekeeps things that would benefit the movement for himself, which I don't necessarily blame him for from a economic and commentary perspective, but I do for the long-term winning perspective.
So he doesn't want to lose the limelight, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but I would say it in the way that Nick is irreplaceable regardless of what you think about him. There's nowhere for Groipers or ex-Groipers to go to get what Nick has given them. And that is because they are kneecapped before they can get to the point that Nick is. For good or bad, that's just what it is.
I mean, most of the Charlie Kirk crowd is who went over to Nick, right? A lot of them.
I would say maybe some, but I wouldn't say a lot of them. I mean, these 2 guys were rivals, right? Charlie Kirk represented a much more egalitarian blank slate expression of conservatism that was a lot more friendly to things like homosexuality, black people being in everything, and, genocracy. So,
I would say, I mean, Charlie Kirk's audience for all the colleges he went to were very boomer.
Agreed.
I've been to a few Charlie Kirk events.
By the way,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Well, the boomers, they gush over it. Oh, this guy, he goes to college campuses and he talks to college kids. And so that's the next generation. It's like all these boomers, all these conservative boomers, especially talk radio guys, are like, oh, we really need someone bold and strong to kind of pave the way. You go to GOP events and they're like, how do we get the young people involved? And it's like, dude, the ones that are actually doing things, you chastise and you reprimand and you try to take their quite literally livelihood away and what they're trying to do. And it's like, okay, the only person that's not is being paid by Jews to run Turning Point USA. And so that's where all of their effort goes to.
Yeah. And I would just say on a broader term with like gatekeeping, it's like that's kind of the point. You gatekeep people out who you don't want to be a part of the movement. It's the same thing of like, would you allow a homosexual into your movement who didn't believe in Christianity and wanted
Well, he would automatically rule himself out, I would assume.
But that's not what was happening. We have homosexuals joining the conservative movement, and brought to you by Charlie Kirk. Ring ring, like here's the big tent conservatism, too big to rig. It was all these compromises on everything that was socially conservative. That's why the gatekeeping has to be so overzealous, is because we're not rerunning that experiment one more time. It's going to be
a lot of that had to do with his donors too. They probably, made him do those things. TPUSA
I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, you don't think they gave him like quarterback the whole thing for him?
I don't think they needed to. I don't think they needed to until October 7th, 2023. Yeah.
Also, 23. And don't forget,
he started going against Israel like 2 months before they took him out. You can't also deny that, having being circumstantial evidence as well too.
What is circumstantial evidence?
He went on Patrick Bet David, and he's like, Israel's about to commit a genocide. They're about to ethnically cleanse these people, and I don't use that word lightly.
Yeah. And what do you say after Midnight Hammer?
Was that not after October 7th?
After, yeah.
Yeah.
What did he say after Midnight Hammer in 2025?
It was a lot. It was a whole lot of this stuff just accumulating.
Okay, so I'm going to a more recent example in 2025, months before he died. What did he say about Midnight Hammer?
I don't know. You tell me.
He praised it. Did good on Trump. And what was Midnight Hammer? Operation Midnight Hammer.
They bombed
the July bombing.
Facility. Yeah.
Nuclear. Exactly. Yeah. Right. So people say the accumulation, but there's all these other. You look recently towards the actions as we were getting closer to war with Iran. He was still sitting there chugging along, praising Donald Trump. I think that really does draw into question this concept that he was beginning to red pill. I think if he was beginning to red pill, he probably would have just left it alone and said nothing. But he actually went on X and praised Donald Trump for what he did. He tweeted about it and said this is a good on move. And he was specifically tough on Iran. Ultimately, he was always going to fold to whatever Trump said or Trump did. I think again, he's less more. Charlie Kirk is way less a political really a pundit at all. Charlie Kirk is much more, and I think Andrew Wilson actually said this. He's much more, well, years ago until recently. He's much more of a organizational head.
Not even years ago.
Yeah,
he does a couple months ago.
Yeah, well, he never actually said he hated Israel either. At the end of the day, he never, he said whatever was the truth, but he didn't actually criticize them. I didn't really hear them. I did hear him criticize American Jews who were funding all the leftist operations in this country, though.
Yeah, right.
So he has stepped out, and I don't know. I mean, you can add that to the cumulative evidence that maybe he was stepping out of bounds and he had to be removed.
But I'm saying when it mattered, he backed down on 2 occasions. With Midnight Hammer, he turned around and praised it. But we also have a report that he basically got yelled at by Trump and got packed in and just took it. So if you're asking me if he really felt like how it's being described, he's beginning to red pill, I would have imagined that would have incurred upon him a different reaction. But instead, he took it in stride and supported it after we dropped the bunker buster. Moving on to the next one. This is from GeoGaster. It's $2. He says, my country will carry the Beauregard's flag. If I pronounced that right. Not sure if I did. And I appreciate the people who subscribed and also everybody who sent in gifted. I appreciate that. It's actually not on this side of the aisle, but I saw that you sent in gifted. I appreciate it, Zeb. And also, I believe it's Hilton Head. And if I miss anybody on the gifted memberships, I appreciate it greatly. Thank you.
I did gifted. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Santa. This is from Craig Butler. He says, had to super chat to make your day better, Atlas. Worst show I've ever seen from your YouTube, but shout out the Groypers. That's funny. I don't know if that's a statement against me or you guys. I don't know.
Probably us.
The next one comes from Caleb Camarillo. He says, Charlie Kirk is a time traveler. That was a thing.
Candace, actually, that's one of the times when I was like, what's wrong with her? She's insane. because I think she said something about Charlie Kirk running so fast that the street lights started turning off or some shit. I was like, what the hell is she talking about, bro?
Did she even say running so fast? I thought she was just talking about Charlie Kirk had like electrical powers or something.
I thought it was because he was Flash. I thought it was because he was Flash and he was running so fast.
I
don't know, but
I thought it was the.
That's what I'm saying. Like all of these people seem so suspect, but also keep driving the needle in that direction. So at the end of the day, you got to be suspicious of everybody.
Right. Yeah.
Especially when they say shit like that.
Agreed. And if she's the biggest driver of this and she's out here, dude, she's like talking about like remote astral projecting your consciousness, like as being a part of like it just, it immediately.
Why do they got to do shit like that? It's like they discredit themselves. Every one of these people who's been Israel critical has done some other bullshit that discredits them. That includes Tucker Carlson being attacked by demons or whatever. I don't know. That sounds crazy to me.
Yeah. And Nick is just vindicated all the time. It's
Alex
just crazy.
Jones
like on the flip side there, you go, wow, this guy's vindicated all the time. That person's a fed.
Nick
Going on
has said plenty. He was glazing Epstein, bro. Come on.
Epstein had aura. Michael Crawford.
Epstein did not. Can we settle this real quick? Can we settle this? Okay, time out. Now, see, I haven't hashed this out. Epstein did not have aura. This idea that Epstein had
money
aura is delusional. is like insane. Like you've never seen anything that Epstein's done outside of the
Steve Bannon interview
that he is portrayed to be. That Steve Bannon was trying to recreate his image. Did anybody watch this interview with Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah.
Dude had zero aura. Absolute nerd.
Well, isn't that
typical Jew nerd? No aura. But Bannon for president. Bannon trying to rehabilitate his image. It's like, what are we trying to do here? Oh shit, there goes Hunter Biden for fucking president. It's like the fucking playbook is not that thick. We got like 4 pages of different plays. That's it.
But is that not the definition though of aura? Like this small, just Weasley Jew has all these connections. He's meeting with everybody across the world. Everyone wants to be his friend. Like he's overcoming. Is money not aura? Money's clearly aura to women.
Money can create some fake version of aura, but aura's aura. You don't need money to have aura.
I didn't realize you guys were all jealous of Epstein, man. That's crazy.
See what I'm saying? There it is.
Envious of Epstein.
So anyway, you said that.
Let me hold on. Let me ask one more thing since we're on this. Tell me maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't, Alice. Tell me you didn't think this was weird. Andrew Wilson tweeted out something to the effect of, if a husband, like a 30-year-old husband, 28 or whatever, drank a serum that made him look 14, but he was 28 in every other way, would that still be okay for the wife or something like that? My first thought is, where the fuck did this come from? One, why are we trying to cuck ourselves into 14-year-olds?
Yeah.
Like what is this? Like, tell me, like
I didn't understand it either. I can't defend Wilson on that.
If we're running this and we got the pedophilia thing going on with Epstein, we're trying to figure this out and defending it, and then we're going to post about being 14-year-old married to a 28-year-old that some serum we took. It's like, what are we doing here, guys?
But to be fair though, I did see the tweet. I guess I didn't see another surrounding context. I don't know if it's relevant to anything else.
I don't know if I saw it in context either. I don't know what kind of context you would put that in.
Well, but he was engaging in a hypothetical. I'm assuming the inverse is to reach to like the way that women call 30-year-old guys who look for 18-year-olds. They call them pedophiles. I think that was perhaps a reverse of the hypothetical he may have been going.
No, that wouldn't have been the context. The context was they were already married, and the husband took some youth serum that accidentally made him 14.
He looks 14, but he's got all his memories, and he's still.
It's like, what are we doing here, man?
I know. I don't know.
So the question was, would that be pedo? Right?
I don't know if that was a question or not. I don't know what.
Is that what they were asking? I don't know.
It's like something to the effect of, like, would you still be with your husband or something like? I don't I don't remember what the context of it was, but I do agree.
Anyway,
I mean,
sorry,
like,
I don't know. That just popped in my head. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Why even
Anyway.
ask that question is the real question.
yeah, maybe perhaps engaging a hypothetical. Michael Crawford says Brigitte Macron hid in the tunnel and sent a hypersonic signal to BB to activate the Jewish space lasers. There's a reason it's always sunny in Tel Aviv. Thank you. I asked someone, could they explain it from point A to point B for me? That's the first time we heard it today. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Now we know that's how Israel did it. And it was with the help of Brigitte Macron. Hiding in the tunnels. How Jewish of her.
Come out. Are we denying space lasers? Is that what's happening right now?
No.
Are we denying goy lasers?
The goy beam?
Is that what's going on?
The goy beam.
The goy beam.
Yeah, we denying goy beams?
That's funny. No, I'm not denying it.
Okay. They're obviously
no, he was explaining that it's not the exploding mic, it's not the hand revolver contraption, it's not even Tyler Robinson. It was a goy beam that literally came out of the sky and pierced Charlie's neck. That's why there's no exit wound. They didn't need one. Caleb Camarillo sends another.
There's no entry wound. It's just an exit wound. That's what it is.
Yeah, right. He always had the goy beam in him. It just came out. Caleb Camarillo says, Barron called Charlie Kirk a, quote, national treasure. What a joke. I got off that train there. Where's all the evidence from the mommy sleuths? And that is something I also put forward as well, given the time of how long this has been and how, like, not only just like it's been public, but it's been like one of the most widely talked about things, if not the most talked about thing in the last 10, 11 months. And that to me, you would think you would have at least something, one thing. Chris Frack says, have $2. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. I do see the gifted from Zeb. Thank you very much, brother. Geogaster sent in another one. He says that the Discord confession timestamp is after he was in custody. The parents allegedly recognized the gun by the news photo that was not of the actual gun. And I actually read an article earlier today that disputed that final portion of there, that said that the parents were talking to law enforcement when they identified them. But I'd be curious. And again, take everything with a grain of salt from Yahoo.
If this guy turned himself in and confessed to it, then what's the point of this whole trial? Why is this happening?
You said that. Oh.
This is
they confess.
This is like a classic.
They just go directly to sentencing after that.
Well, sir, we live in America, and you are innocent
Yes,
until
in
proven
America,
guilty in a court of law.
If you confess to a crime, they basically, what is it? I forget what it's called, but the judge sees if you're, not retarded enough to serve or whatever.
But he didn't take a plea deal. That's what you're talking about. He did not confess into a bargain. He confessed
say it was me.
He confessed in his Discord to his friends because they asked him,
he
that you?
confessed to them. Okay, I gotcha. Okay, I was under the impression that he confessed under like an interview or something to that effect.
Supposedly he confessed to his parents and his parents turned him in. That's where the confession comes from.
There's two of them.
Okay, so that's basically a bunch of nonsense unless they can verify that. Unless the law enforcement has a confession.
That's right. I forgot. So they're like brainwashing the parents, and the parents like want nothing to do with their son. Or maybe he never even had parents. And these are the aliens that Tucker Carlson are talking about.
Legally speaking, it would be considered like hearsay or something, unless it's directly coming from the person and law enforcement has a confession.
That's why it's being treated as the evidence that it is.
Have a trial.
But exactly, it's being treated for the evidence that what it is. It was not a confession inside of an interview to garner a plea deal. That's exactly what I was saying to you.
Gotcha.
But you'd have to make the argument then. So what about the parents? What are they doing here?
I don't know. They were paid. Who knows?
They're trying to get that Sandy Hook money, dog.
Yeah.
What you talking about?
Okay. But then
you act like we live in a perfect world. Like, people harm their children all the time. This isn't new. Kids harm their parents all the time. Like, we live in a messed up world. Like, to say there's no way that their parents would do something like that.
I'm not saying there is no way. I'm asking for you to give a reasonable explanation. I basically asked for that this entire time, and I've yet to almost get one. I got a couple from Zeb.
I've given you a reasonable explanation as to why the official story is
You
bullshit.
said that they paid them. Who's they? Like, again, you go back to something that you don't have any positive.
It doesn't matter.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, if I had that information, then none of this would be happening, right?
But you have to acknowledge you're only speculating. That you have to acknowledge that.
But so is Nick Fuentes when he says it was Tyler Robinson, and I know 100% when the trial is still ongoing. We don't
But
even know.
operating
he's
under the
just gonna
guise of what you're
speculate.
saying means that everything is speculation. Because Nick is operating from what is being reported in the news, what's coming out of documents, what's coming
Yeah.
out of
And
government.
where does the news come from?
So again, you're basically operating in a
ahead.
world where everything's speculation, with no hard ground.
Well, no, I just know who runs the media.
Okay, well then, how do I know? Okay, then I'll use the same thing against you. Like, you're being paid right now to be on this show. You are an entity that came out of
I'm
nowhere.
not.
You have 9K subscribers because you were paid to be an operative. And I don't need any evidence because I can just speculate that.
I have 9,000 subscribers, so I'm an operative. That doesn't even, like, nobody would even care about a channel with 9,000 subscribers, bro.
I'm not saying you're the only one. There's bunches of you now. You're one
Oh,
of
is
many.
there?
You see how I can immediately, if you remove any kind of baseline
Yeah,
agreement
but
on the reality,
go watch my content. You would see that there's nothing. Do I ever defend any of these people in even in the slightest possible way? So you'd have to have some kind of
But
claim. Like I can say,
but
Nick
no,
Fuentes
because
has
YouTube
defended
went in
Israel
and they
on
helped delete
plenty of
all of the
occasions.
times that you did say that to help cover you up. Because YouTube
Cover
was
me
in
up
with
to what,
Mossad.
though? For
And
what,
then they
though?
went in and they helped and they started deleting your content out at the perfect times, the intervals, because they knew if we started retconning your content, we'd see, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't line up with what he said. You
Yeah,
see how
I'm
I could just keep going
a
further than
Mossad
you
operative.
down this pathway of like nonsense because we don't have anything definitive? That's the point I'm making to you. You need something grounded. If it's just speculation, you have nothing. You don't
Yeah.
win court cases off of pure speculation. You need
Same
evidence.
with Nick Fuentes, though. But he's positive. But he's just speculating too.
But he's not speculating in terms of pure speculatory value. He's basing it off of the fact of in the court that is going to rule on Tyler Robinson, they have evidence, DNA evidence that attaches Tyler Robinson to the rifle, that attaches the rifle to the cartridge, the expend cartridge that was still in the rifle. They have DNA evidence on the towel that was wrapped around the rifle. They have DNA evidence on the screwdriver that was left on the roof. That you can sit there and say it was all planted, it's all made up, it's all bullshit, but you have nothing that can convince anyone that's definitive that you can hold in your hand that says this is it. It's just your speculation, your opinion. The court, on the other hand, that actually has material relevance to the case is sitting there saying and holding what was going to be recognized in our court of law as evidence. Would you agree with me there that what they're putting forward from this case is going to be recognized by that court as physical evidence?
Yes,
So, well, we have walked back to reality. Thank you.
I do believe. Well, we were never not in reality. I mean,
Zeb may be. I
evidence
don't know
that they're
about
going
you,
to
bro.
present is coming from the law enforcement that collected the evidence. There's boots
I
on
mean,
the ground.
the
court just
obvious
does-
miss here, the obvious miss here is Atlas and Nick and whoever else is taking it maybe not on face value, but to some authority from the federal government that their position is correct, that they would be honest in their position, which I don't necessarily deny outright, and you take it with zero value. And so I think you're starting from two completely different positions. I mean, that being said, the government that's either that forced Kent to quit or forced him into a resignation or whatever happened there, along with Tulsi Gabbard, it's like, I mean, how much weight should we put on what is reported from the FBI? Is
How many
kind of
times have we
the
caught 'em
question
lying?
that could be asked.
Yeah.
And what I would say too is like, then you would also look at the connection of like what Joe Kent and JD Vance, that can't be missed. And what would be beneficial for JD Vance and Joe Kent? Applying pressure on
Everyone except me. That's the answer.
Yeah. So, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of these things. I think that as long as there's explanations that don't take many assumptions to get to, it's like, that's why you need something definitive. You need something more than just like, I think they're lying to me. Next one here.
Well, why do we think that? We didn't just, assume that. There's a lot of discrepancies that we saw, and that led us to that point.
I wouldn't say we can say that they are lying to us. Like that's not like that can be definitive. Like some things they are lying about.
Yeah, I think you could go back. You could just use the historical precedent, and you could say historically the government has lied in large-scale cases like this, especially ones that had political value.
Like I would even say like there's no definitive evidence of JFK either.
Well, we have, what is it? The autopsy reports, right? The differing autopsy reports.
Sure, is it definitive? I mean, if we have to grant the federal government the default position, then okay, you have conflicting autopsy reports. Throw them out. Somebody's lying.
Didn't they
Yeah.
drive Charlie Kirk like past 4 hospitals before they got him to one of the hospitals?
Yeah. You
I
could
never made it that far.
Yeah. It was
you
like
could,
2. It was like 3 or 4 hospitals before they reached one. It was a specific hospital.
Yeah.
That was even looked up in Israel. They found the Google search results that hospital was looked up. The doctors that worked in that hospital, their names were Googled from Israel. You don't remember all that?
no,
I remember it. This is
Yeah.
something I don't understand Google Trends. So let me just lay that out there. I don't
Yeah.
understand how it works and how the searching works on Google Trends. And I don't think it works the way people think
It works by comparing search results from before to now or whatever. It's comparative, right? It doesn't actually give you a number. It's more like comparative percentages, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like when it says
I would go out and say I
100%,
don't
100
understand the trends either, because every time I've looked, I mean, I've been looked up in Israel too, but every time I look, it says 100 searches happened at the exact same time.
Well, that makes sense that you would be looked up in Israel, bro. You're a
But-
That 7K coming, they need to know
Yeah.
where they sending the money.
Yeah, it's
no,
17.
it's not that. I mean, you're basically opposition, right? You're critical of
To-
Israel.
Yeah, right.
So why wouldn't they look you up?
Well,
Alice is a nobody.
yeah,
Oh, you don't need to search him up.
Right.
He's good.
exactly. I am a nobody. I love Israel, by the way. I love Mossad. I love Unit 8200. I love that Barack Ravid came from Israel to work at Axios to give us the news about the Iran war. I love that Barry Weiss has been vertically integrated into the media ecosystem to push more bullshit Jewry. I also love that the Ellisons now own, I don't know, all of media that exists in America. Yeah. I mean, we could go down the line. Yeah. So
Completely
we love
on
Ben
board
Gvir
with
and
it.
Smotrich too.
yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that I've talked to Atlas offline, and this is a complete grift that he's doing with his channel. Complete grift. I mean, he's killing it right now. Why would he even give it up? Obviously, he is.
He told me that last night. He told me that
yeah.
last night on the phone.
yeah. Yeah, the Esther Project reached out to me. No, it was actually Deborah Leah herself. She reached out to me and she said, "How would you like $600 for this post right here?" I said, "Make it 400."
You better get that up to 7,000.
Yeah. Okay, no, we gotta catch up on these super chats. We want to get to all of them. Okay, well, this next one is a direct question to you, Daily. It says, "Is Daily Riot an Arab doing whiteface?"
What?
He's actually what's your
You are-
ethnicity?
You're
I'm
Armenian.
I
Yeah.
come from the Caucasian mountains, bro. The
Oh, y'all are
Caucasus region.
cousins, dude.
Yeah.
Y'all are cousins.
Yeah,
Oh.
You too.
I'm from Albania.
Oh, there you go. Well, why didn't
No.
you tell me that?
No, because it's a joke that won't leave.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's
Either
because
way.
it's because I'm a Wigger. That's why, and then I
Okay.
get
I'm
attached.
the only
to
American on this panel.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Southern American.
I'm kidding.
We have Rex
True
Crassus
American.
again. He says, Gen Z will build the droid army soon. And I hope so. Another one from Caleb Camarillo. He says, in 2019, Charlie was trying to push pro-LGBT and inclusive BS. Agreed. He never stopped, actually. The big tent kept moving. Rex Crackus, a question for Zeb. He says, Zeb, can you smoke moonshine from a bong?
I've never tried, actually. I do think I do have some apple pie moonshine over there, but
Just
I don't have
redistill
apple pie
it.
moonshine over there.
Content idea. Next up on
Smoke it?
Zeb
Yeah.
Boykin.
Smoke? I don't know how you would smoke it. You can't.
You can inhale the distillate. Just heat it up and
You can steam
Inhale.
it. We could steam it. We could steam it.
Yeah.
Boil
Or
it.
be
We could
gagging
boil
and
the
dying.
moonshine.
It could result in
Yeah.
instant death almost. Okay, another one from Caleb Camarillo. He says, step 1, capture audience. Step
Vape it.
2,
There you
lead
go.
them astray.
Hilton Head Gropers over here said vape it. That's it, dude. He knows. He knows.
Vaporize it. There we go.
Just put it in a vape and inhale alcohol.
Yeah,
Dude, okay, don't give the vapors any ideas. They've lost all the brain cells they got anyway.
right. We got just 2 more here from GeoGaster that says an erectile dysfunctional speech impeded guy has aura. Groiper standards. Yeah. W. Epstein. I want you to know the joy it makes me feel how mad people get about that shit.
Atlas, why have you not worn your quarter zip, your Epstein quarter?
I haven't gotten one
You
yet.
bought
Actually.
that.
I would wear it all the time if I had one. I want you to know if I had one, I'd wear it every day with the AF hat. Every stream. Last one here from YouTube Enjoyer. He says, we should have started this debate with an acknowledgement that this man is bald. I agree, although I'd also have to say I too am bald. But yes, that looks to be all the super chats. Thank you guys for everything. I appreciate all the gifted memberships, all the super chats that came in. Thank you guys for all for being
trust
here.
a bald person, bro.
I can't agree with you. But with that being said, appreciate everybody who came here and were supportive. I know we kind of popped off at the beginning a little bit. We did settle back down into a good bit of discussion. Obviously, we have disagreements. I think some of those were not swayed by anybody here, but I think the audience was able to at least hear something out because of.
Real quick, you know who else is Armenian?
Who?
Kash Patel's honeypot girlfriend. But she's also Middle Eastern.
No,
And she
she's
also
not.
lives by the Mediterranean Sea.
Now I can't trust you
No,
at
she's
all.
Indian, bro.
Daily Riot's banned from the show now. That's
Bald
and Armenian.
That's not true. That's not true.
Watch the watch the podcast with her and Stephen Miller's wife. What's her name? Katie Miller.
Yeah.
Katie
That
Miller
cannot
podcast.
be I
with
would have
her
heard about
and
that.
Kash Patel. It is entertaining, and she lies like a bazillion times.
She's definitely not. What's her name?
She's a professional national anthem
It's
singer.
Alexis something. I think it's
Hang on.
Alexis something. I can't
It's-
remember.
Alexis
Miller,
Wilkins.
Kash Patel.
Yeah,
Just
she's
Google that.
definitely
Watch
not
that.
Armenian, bro.
That's what she said,
Yeah,
and then she
well, she
said later
said
on
it.
in the same podcast that
What?
she's
Yeah.
Middle Eastern.
Yeah, I'm thinking you're paid to say that she's not.
What?
Um,
She is. I just looked it up, bro.
yeah.
But she's not though.
Well,
She's not though. Right?
But how can you trust what you're
Right,
reading?
She's not though.
Who
What?
makes the news?
No,
You can't
she
trust
admitted
that.
this.
You can't trust
Armenians are not Middle Eastern. She said that she
No,
was
we're not.
Armenian, and then said she was Middle Eastern, and then went on this tirade about the Mediterranean Sea. And so it's like,
I gotta
one,
look into this more. Actually, that's crazy, dude.
that. Pick one.
And thanks for letting me know about that.
That's
she's
fun.
she-
That's crazy.
Well, I want
She
to say
looks like
too,
she's Indian.
both of
cousins all around. Everybody's cousins.
these guys' descriptions, or links, forgive me, are in the description below. Both Zeb Boykin and Daily Riot. Go check them out if you guys enjoyed what they had to say. Although I highly doubt it. Anyways, I'm gonna turn it back over. H, you take a turn. Zeb, you go first. Any final words?
That's it, dude. I think we nailed it. Thank you for having me on. First of all, second of all,
Yes,
my content's been down, so hopefully you got a week's worth out of me. Maybe I'll do some on my channel lately. But yeah, go check out. I watched some of Daily Riot stuff the other day. Doing good work over there. Obviously, Atlas continuing to kill it. Absolutely, dude. If y'all can't keep up with Atlas, I don't blame you. He's absolutely dogging the YouTube right now, and no, please support him and obviously
appreciate
any kind of work that we've done on NAV. I am going to get back on NAV and try to build that back up here pretty soon. So we appreciate everything going on with Atlas, his channel, and then NAV, and then obviously any collabs we have. Obviously, there's disagreement here, and I'm always right. So support everybody that
that's kind of
that
the
is
point.
willing to engage.
Yeah, we agree on a lot.
Reasonably.
Yeah,
Reasonably.
reason to disagree. That's why Daily Riot's not invited to the cookout. Anyways, Daily Riot. Any final words?
Oh, I
for
thought
you?
it was because he.
I mean, I would like to say that he's absolutely right. You're a beast on here. You're on here doing multiple shows a day. So, good on
appreciate
you
it.
on that. And overall, I think we generally agree more than we disagree. There's like little minor things here and there that we can pick at. And it seems to be that we concentrate on those disagreements instead of coming together. I think we should do more of that than picking apart these little details here and there,
Word. Well, I do say I appreciate both you guys for coming on. I think everybody kind of knew it would be a little hostile before we even signed on to agree, and that's good. And we could take these challenges. We can have good conversations. I think that's what's needed. But again, everybody who is here, I appreciate you guys as always. I don't think there's going to be a kick stream tonight, although if there is, I will alert people in the Discord. But I appreciate everybody who did stay around. It means a lot. And should see you guys tomorrow, both on YouTube and Kick, both covering the news and also probably having a bit of fun. We'll see what happens with that. But since we can't get deportations, we'll settle for impeachments. So impeach everybody in this administration, including J.D. Vance, rehire Dan Bongino, impeach his bald ass, and maybe perhaps we can get a country in 2028. Who knows? Up to you guys, though. Beyond that, anyone over 150 pounds, this is not a notice. You are directly being deported by canon to Israel. Anyone between 125 and 150 pounds, this is your 90-day notice to lose the weight, or you too will be shot from a cannon to Israel. Take care. Christ is King. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.
Get up and get out. Get out. Get out. I have a question.
Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out. Christ